but I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but it could be fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show is live. We get together and do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what do? Yeah, that's right. We talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Did I mention this show is live? If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Twitter. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we've got the phone number up. We've got a Discord running, and we've got 2 Discord chat rooms running. If you want to join the Discord, please do. The phone number, like I said, is 702-957-1037, which is a Las Vegas area code. And I understand that sometimes we have people listening all over the world, and if they want to call in, that's not the best. So, because of long-distance toll charges and all the rest of this silly business that still is a thing in 2021, which doesn't seem like it needs to be. You can use Discord for free. As long as you have an internet connection, Discord is a free thing, and it works a number of ways. You can chat like the old days, just type to people. You can jump in the voice and do a voice chat with people, and it's a fantastic way to get together and communicate, sort of off of the normal, regular channels you would expect from the technocracy, the technocrats, and their censorship. So for now, as far as I'm aware, Discord has not really dipped into the censorship game, and so there's that, which is amazing, and it's a good way to get people together and have a good conversation, basically 24 hours a day, because there's people in all time zones and all the rest of that. So it's perfect if you're a night owl. Sometimes you're maybe chatting with folks in the UK that just woke up in the morning, that type of thing. So if you want to join that, please go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link. It's right there on top. Troubledminds.org has all the information you need about to find whatever you need with this show, including the phone number and the Discord link. We also have a fantastic chat room running through Discord on Fringe. Also go to fringe.fm/chat. Join both of those, please. And come meet lots of good people. There's lots of good people in those there, both of the chat rooms there, and come say hi. And so that's what's up. That's as we begin. Like I said, we're not sponsored by Discord. It's just an amazing program, and as part of that, we like to feature it because amazing things deserve some notoriety. They deserve some credit for making amazing programs. So okay, now tonight, we were doing a news show. We do a news show twice a week on Twitch exclusively. It's Monday and Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, and we were doing the news show today, and it kind of caught my attention because, as always, you know me, I watch news cycles and pay attention to what they're trying to tell us, basically, and that's really what this show's about. Again, it's about getting together, being good to each other, understanding that we can have a discussion even if we don't agree with each other and still be friends at the end of it. That's the main theme at Troubled Minds. All the rest of it is window dressing, basically. Just because it's the most important thing today is getting together, being good to each other, and trying to not be D-bags on the internet, right? And so we're here to prove that it's possible. It can be done, and you don't have to be a Twitter engagement algorithm stoker, or as I said earlier, just a dick on the internet. You don't have to be that guy. You can be somebody else. You can be nice. You can be kind. You can listen to ideas that may not be easily digested, and let your mind wander as a result. So, yeah. But I was doing the news thing today, and this one article popped up, and I thought it was fascinating. We haven't talked a lot about this on this show, and I think we should actually, because there's a lot going on with this in regard to let's see, how do I fix this? I got some technical issues going on, but there's a lot going on in regard to ancient civilizations. It's one of the things that it's a premise for the show, but we don't really do enough kind of going back and talking about these things. And so this article popped up as we were doing the news show today. I grabbed it, and we were looking at this and talking about this and thinking about this. And I realized that we haven't done a lot of this, so I think it's time. Maybe let's jump into this as we get into October. And happy Monday to everybody out there. And the thing is this, we will do our share of spooky stuff, ghost stories and things like this. And we had a fantastic show on Thursday doing nothing but ghost stories from you guys, from the callers. So we will do that. We're going to continue doing that this month. Maybe once a week we'll do some sort of ghost-themed show and continue taking your ghost stories, because there's a lot of amazing firsthand accounts and experiences that you guys are able to call in and share. So it seems like very much with the what's up, I see there on Rockfin, guys. What's up, Flat Fellow Founder Rockfin? What's up, buddy? So basically it's like this, all right? Is the ghost stories are good. They're very much like the dream shows. You do a dream show and everybody has dreams, and so everybody's interested. It's kind of what you call high engagement, okay? So are the ghost stories. It seems like a lot of people out there have actually seen a ghost in some capacity. So I think that's pretty amazing that it's a thing, and it's we're going to keep doing it. Like I said, if we dry up the ghost stories, dry up the well, maybe we'll lay off the ghost stuff this month. But I'm going to try and do one per week, one ghost type show as we get into October, and then maybe set it up for a Halloween stream which would be a Sunday night. So there you go. That's what's on my mind, and that's what we're doing. And let's get back to this ancient civilization stuff. Now, as I was looking at this today, looking at the news cycle and seeing what's in here, we've got this. This is from Discover Magazine, and I'll link it in all the chats, and you guys can check it out. As always, I appreciate that you check my sources and make sure that it's not a bunch of BS, or if it is a bunch of BS, at least recognize it for what it is. So this is from Discover Magazine, and it says, the headline is this: what if we aren't the first advanced civilization on Earth? And the subheadline is, if our planet hosted an industrial species before humans, the Silurian hypothesis asks, how would we know? And that's really the premise tonight. So there's a lot of things to think about regarding this, and like we've talked about on this show several times and many other times, and more times we'll continue to, that ancient astronaut theory, right? That hypothesis sort of goes hand in hand with this a little bit, because with Zecharia Sitchin and the Anunnaki story, the translation from the tablets and all the Sumerian tablets. But some people have called that bunk. Some people have said is compelling. As always, right? Like in the post-truth world, it just depends on who you ask. And so, like I said, we're not trying to teach you or tell you anything in particular. We're trying to just have a good conversation here. So that's what's on my mind tonight. Now regarding this ancient civilizations. So clearly, I think probably even in academia, you're going to get some people that will admit that there are ancient civilizations that have been unmapped, right? Basically, that they existed, they predate even the Fertile Crescent, and that story that goes on, how it is, the Sumerian stuff, and it's just like okay. And that's the first written language, okay? So that's where that came from. But clearly, there's going to be civilization before the first written language. And so, if you, like I said, even if you ask some academics, they're going to have to admit, even though there's no direct evidence as such in large amounts, large quantities, they're probably going to admit that there was probably some advanced civilizations previous to the Fertile Crescent and that whole bit, right? But I guess the question then becomes advanced civilization. What does that mean? So is that the thing that we're talking about here? And what is it? Just writing, or is it what have you? Right? Some people say that there's advanced civilizations with ancient Egypt, and so not only did they have the writing and the rest of this, they had the pyramid and the pyramid power, and right, it's some sort of like the Great Pyramid was some sort of power generator, and all kinds of stuff like this, right? But then if you take that thought and you go deeper into the woo world, the world of woo, as it were, meaning that of course there's the ancients, civilization type, including Atlantis, including Lemuria, right? The lost continent of Mu, and things like this. Mu, M-U, not M-O-O, like the moo cow, but M-U, the lost continent of Mu. And so there's a lot of this that kind of goes through the woo circles, the channeling consciousness of people from Atlantis, things like this, which of course was brought about and made famous or even infamous by the legendary Edgar Cayce, who was supposedly able to diagnose people with sicknesses just by kind of checking out their aura and doing that sort of thing, and then able to even possibly tell the future by channeling people from Atlantis and that ancient civilization. So a lot of this kind of goes into those circles of I guess you could even call it paranormal, but more like New Age, right? New Age philosophy and things like this. And I don't think it's such a bad thing if you consider that there's an old ancient advanced civilization. I think that if the Earth were doing its thing, its tectonic plates and all the movements and stuff, like we are just barely scratching the surface with archaeology and anthropology. And I've said that a lot of times. We're working with 1/10% of all the data available, and much of that data has been chewed up by the Earth itself as the earthquakes happen, and like the mantle and the tectonic plates kind of smush up on each other and just basically hide evidence and bury it further down into the earth and destroy it forever. So again, so that's the question tonight. Do you believe this? That in the ancient days, as far back as you want to go, basically, let's just say, throw out a crazy number and say 1 million years ago, right? Just for conversation. But do you believe that way, way back, say 1 million years ago, there was a technologically advanced civilization somewhere on the earth? And so this Silurian hypothesis from this article here asks this question. If there was an advanced civilization, we're actually going to go to about 60 million years ago for this hypothesis, by the way. So not just 1 million, but even further than that. So is it possible that one of those existed? All right. Or of course, if there was one, there may be more. And if it did exist, how come we don't have any evidence of this? How come we can't go dig up, maybe put a shovel in the ground and find Atlantis, for instance, right? Clearly, there's some weird stuff with that because they say that it sunk and all this other stuff, and the cataclysm and the volcano and all kinds of things, right? But if that's the case, and if Atlantis wasn't the only one, if we're looking at Lemuria and some of these other ancient supposed civilizations that were highly technologically advanced, how come we can't find them? And that's the Silurian hypothesis, meaning that, let's just read it. So here we go. This is straight from the article here in Discover Magazine. And So this guy Schmidt, his name is Gavin Schmidt. He had a theory, and it's from the 56 million year old segment of geologic history known as the Paleocene Eocene thermal maximum. We're going to call that PETM. So now, interestingly, he noted that in this particular time period, about 56 million years ago, that there was a time weather-wise that resembled our own, okay? And he says this, what most intrigued him was its resemblance to our own time in this, again, Paleocene, Eocene thermal maximum. Carbon levels spiked, temperatures soared, ecosystems toppled. At professional workshops, experts tried to guess what natural processes could have triggered such severe global warming. And so, of course, at dinner parties, he kind of kicked around some ideas about maybe there was an advanced civilization very much like our own 56 million years ago that caused a climate catastrophe. Now, it is interesting to note that everything needs to be framed in terms of climate change, which, as you guys know, is not quite the trigger warning for me like taxes and healthcare. But it is one of those things where it does piss me off quite a bit, the way the media treats it with the climate alarmism and all the rest of that. And like I've said, I'm going to continue to say this, don't get me wrong. Clearly, there's 8 billion humans on the earth. We're changing something. The climate surely is being affected by us in some capacity. However, is it what the media says, like at Vox or one of these other knucklehead media establishments that are always like, oh, the end of the world is nigh? And I don't think so. Because, of course, if you went by some of those things 20 years ago, we're all supposed to be underwater by now, right? So the climate models are clearly flawed because, well, they're flawed because they're computer models. And again, this isn't about climate change tonight. I'm just explaining that I'm not that guy before everybody freaks out and, calls the climate police on me. I'm not that guy. I'm just saying that I do not like the way the media handles it. That's what I'm saying. But in any case, my point there is that it is interesting that this conversation revolves around climate change, revolves around the fact that there were carbon levels very high in the atmosphere during this Paleocene, Eocene thermal maximum time about 56 million years ago, and that this individual, Gavin Schmidt, is proposing the idea that possibly there was a industrial civilization very much like ourselves 56 million years ago. And as such, since then, they've been basically erased by the plate tectonics and just the standard, erosion of time and 56 million years. That would do it, right? Time and pressure the other way. So I don't know. I mean, this is kind of a fascinating concept that maybe so far back there was possibly some civilization of advanced technology that caused some global catastrophe and were basically wiped off the face of the earth because of their climate. I'll just leave it there. But you see the point. So if that's the case, again, we're talking about possibly some other ones. Again, Edgar Cayce, Lemuria. We're talking about Atlantis, possibly. What else have you heard of regarding ancient civilizations? And do you think, again, that it's possible if you go all the way back, who knows how long it takes, that there's actually an ancient civilization that was technologically advanced? Like I said, I think the ancient civilization part that is probably unmapped by current knowledge of human history, I think that's probably goes without saying. Many people would agree with that. However, what about technologically advanced ancient civilizations? That's the question here tonight. And if you want to be part of the show, love to hear your thoughts on this. That's what's on my mind. Is this possible? If it existed, what kind of technology do you think they had? And number 3, how come we don't have any remnant of this? Surely we'd be able to dig up some ancient supercomputer or, like they've described in maybe Atlantis, the crystal powered frequency and vibration sort of thing that they supposedly had, according to Edgar Cayce and some others. I don't know. That's the question tonight. That's what's on my mind. Do you think this is possible? And if it is, what kind of technology do these ancient civilizations actually have? And then the third question on top of that is, how come there's no evidence to suggest that this is true, at least in modern archaeology, modern anthropology? So lots there to think about, lots to talk about, and that's what we're going to do tonight. And again, if you want to look into this, the Paleo Eocene thermal maximum was a short interval of maximum temperature lasting approximately 100,000 years, roughly 56 million years ago, somewhere in that range. And the interval was characterized by the highest global temperatures of the Cenozoic era. Although the underlying causes are unclear, this is from Encyclopedia Britannica. I'll link this as well. And this is what this means. And this is where the theory starts, okay? It's because this individual thinks that it is possible that we are doing our thing, that we're talking about or considering that there was an ancient civilization that was technologically advanced enough to cause a climate catastrophe, and of course that would be the PETM, Paleocene Eocene thermal maximum. So linking this down in the chats and you guys can check it out. But we'll get into some other stuff. I'm just starting it with the article as we begin tonight. But there's more, of course. We're going to get into Atlantis, and we're going to get into Lemuria, and whatever else you guys can think of as far as ancient civilizations are concerned. I had a thought, too, as we were beginning this tonight, one that I kind of didn't pull up and talk about. But does anybody remember that old show, The Land of the Lost? It was like late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in that range. I can't remember because I was a very, very small baby. And it's one of those situations where the Land of the Lost, they ended up time traveling, this family. It was a father and then a daughter and a son. And they ended up traveling back in time to when the dinosaurs were there. Let's say, I don't know, 100 million years ago or something. And oddly enough, the crazy part there is even back then in the late 70s, early 80s, not like it was, that far. We're talking about not even one human lifetime here, but there was a race, an ancient race of lizard people that were inhabited the land with the dinosaurs, and they called them Sleestaks. Anybody remember the Sleestaks from Land of the Lost? So they were actually they seemed to be speechless. They encountered the family as the antagonists of the show. They were evil. They were trying to capture them, but who knows, right? I guess evil is subjective depending on who you ask, as usual. But they were again kind of like hissing like snakes, moving around like you would expect, sort of reptilians and things like this. But the thing that I noticed most about the Land of the Lost and those Sleestaks, as it were, is they had these panels, like these stone panels. And again, this is just a TV show, but I'm kind of pointing to the idea that this idea has been in the air and existed for a very long time. And so these like Sleestaks, lizard-type people were basically that ancient technologically advanced civilization. And they had these rock panels, which seemed like control panels. And they had crystals embedded in them. And they were able to do different things. I don't know if they were sending, I don't know, just speculating here, sending data up to the mothership. Who knows? But they had these crystal panels, and they were pushing like these crystal buttons on these stone panels. And so who knows? I mean, this is kind of the thing that we're talking about here as I consider some of the ancient possible civilizations way back in the day. And what do you guys think? As you know, this is not a one-way show. This is me talking to you and you responding. So if you have an idea of this, do you think there was an ancient advanced civilization? And if so, how far back do you think it went? And how come, or what kind of technology do you think they had? Like, again, they've said that Atlantis had maybe crystal technology and frequency and vibration and things like this. And that's what's on my mind tonight. That's what's going on. And if you have thoughts on this, theories, or if you think it's a bunch of hogwash, that's fine. That's what we do here. We drink a lot of the maybe juice and consider all the possibilities. So if you want to be part of the show, we're talking about technologically advanced ancient civilizations. And you can give us a call with your theory on this at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More ancient civilizations, technologically advanced, and you when we return. Be right back. right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to reach us is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we're discussing ancient civilizations that may have been technologically advanced. Do you think this is possible? Do you think it's a thing? And if it was, what kind of technology do you think they had? And how come we don't have any evidence to suggest, direct evidence to suggest, at least through academia, anthropology, and archaeology, that this is a real phenomenon? And that's what's on my mind tonight. So love to hear your theories on this. Again, we can get a little bit woo. We can get a little bit anthropology if you want. We can get into, however, as you know, this is an open-ended conversation, and I'm looking to hear from you. And kind of like you know, that you guys know the drill. We drink a lot of the maybe juice, so we're open to all the theories here. And we can start with Atlantis and Lemuria and these type of ancient civilizations. I'm okay with that. But do you think this stuff is even real? Do you think it's worth considering and talking about? I think that's the question here. And if you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Okay, so let's continue. So this theory again is called the what is the theory called? This is the Silurian hypothesis, and let's put this up on the screen, and you guys can check this out. And this is from a Cambridge.org journal. All right. And I think this is the weird part is that, they're kind of, again, linking this kind of woo-woo stuff through climate change, which is, fine, I guess. That's fine. I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about, again, that, because at least they're not doing the climate alarmism. They're saying this was 55 million years ago or whatever. But they are saying that it possibly ended the civilization way back when, whatever was happening there. So we did have Robert linked an article here about ancient nuclear reactors, so we'll pull it up and look at that in just a little bit here. But I think that's the question tonight. What do you guys think this is, and do you think it's real? All the rest of this. So the Silurian hypothesis goes like this. Would it be possible to detect an industrial civilization in the geological record? And that's basically the crux of this. Here's the abstract from the paper. I'll read this. I'm not going to read too much from the scientific paper because it will put you to sleep, and I don't blame you. I'll fall asleep as well. The abstract says this. If an industrial civilization had existed on Earth many millions of years prior to our own era, what traces would it have left, and would they be detectable today? In this paper, they summarize the likely geological fingerprint of the Anthropocene, I said that incorrectly, and demonstrate that, while clear, it will not differ greatly in many aspects or respects from other known events in the geological record. They then propose tests that could plausibly distinguish an industrial cause from an otherwise naturally occurring climate event, which is exactly what this is. And again, this is that Silurian hypothesis. And so that's the thing, right? So we're kind of in agreement here with the academics that did this paper, is that if this is a real thing, then you would expect so many years later that it will basically be wiped off the face of the earth, because that's a long ass time ago, is it not? That's a very, very long time ago. And so that's what's on my mind tonight. Let's start with this article that was just shared over on Rockfin by Robert. I appreciate that. But let's look at this. I'll put this in, and we'll continue trucking with this. Because why not? Here's one of the actual incidents, or let's say maybe the actual evidence that we're suggesting here. And so here we go. I'm going to drop this in the chat, and you guys can check this out. But here we go. So like I say, we can get to Atlantis and Lemuria if you guys want to talk about this. But let's get to this first. This is an article, again, shared by Robert over on Rockfin. And it says this: Scientific American. The workings of an ancient nuclear reactor. 2 billion years ago, parts of an African uranium deposit spontaneously underwent nuclear fission. The details of this remarkable phenomenon are now just becoming clear. And this is all the way back to January 26, 2009 when this was reported. And this is old. So this is just a quick brief on this, but maybe this is the actual evidence we're looking for, or at least partially. And let's read just a smidge, and then again, looking to hear from you. As always, I got stuff to get into to kind of make the case or not for this, but I'd rather hear your theories. So if you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And do you think ancient civilizations, technologically advanced, existed a long time ago, like millions of years? So here we go. In May 1972, a worker at a nuclear fuel processing plant in France noticed something suspicious. He had been conducting a routine analysis of uranium derived from a seemingly ordinary source of ore. As is the case with all natural uranium, the material under study contained 3 isotopes, that is to say, 3 forms with differing atomic masses. Uranium-238, the most abundant variety, uranium-234, the rarest, and uranium-235, the isotope that is coveted because it can sustain a nuclear chain reaction. Elsewhere in the Earth's crust, on the Moon, and even in meteorites, uranium-235 atoms make up 0.720% of the total. But in these examples, which came from the Oklo deposit in Gabon, Oklo and Gabon, which is a former French colony in West Equatorial Africa, this uranium-235 constituted just 0.717%. That tiny discrepancy was enough to alert French scientists that something strange had happened. Further analyses showed that ore from at least one part of the mine was far short on uranium-235. Some 200 kilograms appeared to be missing, enough to make half a dozen or so nuclear bombs. And so, so clearly, for weeks, specialists at the French Atomic Energy Commission remained perplexed. The answer came only when someone recalled a prediction published 19 years earlier. In 1953, George W. Wetherill of the University of California at Los Angeles and Mark G. Ingram of the University of Chicago pointed out that some uranium deposits might have once operated as natural versions of the nuclear fission reactors that were then becoming popular. Shortly thereafter, Paul K. Kuroda, a chemist from the University of Arkansas, calculated what it would take for a uranium ore body spontaneously to undergo self-sustained fission. In this process, a stray neutron causes uranium-235 nucleus to split, which gives off more neutrons, causing those atoms to break apart in a nuclear chain reaction. So basically, all right, so we'll get more into this, but they're saying that it's possible that this was maybe an advanced civilization way back in the day, and they were maybe dabbling in nuclear fission way back then from millions of years ago. And that's the question tonight. Do you think that an ancient advanced civilization was actually a thing? And if so, how come there's no evidence? If you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And so there's some evidence here, maybe with this nuclear fission thing and missing the uranium-235. Maybe this is a thing, right? Maybe this is where we begin with some evidence to suggest this may be the case. And again, kind of like my how I described the what do they call it? The Slee Stack from the Land of the Lost, right? The sort of that theory that's been around, kind of had been in the air for a while, that there was an ancient civilization on Earth that was technologically advanced. And, we can take this any way you want. Like some have suggested that the Anunnaki and Zecharia Sitchin and things like this were, actually that ancient civilization, the ancient astronaut theory. Or others have suggested that maybe human consciousness had attained sort of a what would you call it? A sort of a Shangri-La period where it was a high level of consciousness back in the day with Lemuria or Atlantis or places like this. So that's what's happening here. That's what's on my mind tonight. And as we consider these possibilities, what do you think? Once again, is this just again a nice thought experiment, or do you think there's some basis in this? Maybe half. Well, I'm not going to call it a fact or not, but is there some basis in this at all? So that's the question. Let's go to James in James in Michigan. Welcome, James of Salcedo Paranormal. How are you, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Good, thank you for having me.
Pleasure's ours, my friend. I know you've been listening to some of this. What do you think regarding ancient technologically advanced civilizations? Do you think it's a thing, or do you think we're just chasing our tails here?
Well, I think, we weren't there back then, obviously. I think it's interesting that there aren't records of that far back, unless you count stories from people, accounts of things that happened. And I always wonder about those, how many of those are based on real events or passed down hundreds of years. I don't know. I do think that it's possible, just because a lot can change in a planet in terms of continents rising and falling over millions of years, so I can't discount it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So if it did exist, I mean, they've called this also like the Great Barrier as well, regarding why there's not aliens zipping around everywhere that we can see in our actual solar system, because there's some sort of great barrier to technology where there's a great cycle that kind of washes out civilizations as they become technologically advanced. Meaning, of course, if there's, let's say, for instance, God forbid, but let's say a supervolcano blows tomorrow in Yellowstone, well, that would send us back to the Stone Age. So it would literally, all the advancement in the last 500 years of human technology would just vanish. And so these geological processes, these processes of not just the Earth, but the solar system and the universe at large, may be filters to this. And maybe, I don't know, what's your thought there?
Well, also, just thinking, going back to the idea of continents rising and falling, or places, water levels going up and down. Every once in a while, if you just check out the news, you'll see an article or a story about divers supposedly finding buildings that are underwater, or steps, or different things. And of course, they always all get written off as natural formations. But, I mean, how do we know that that's the way with all of those places? Especially the further down you go, because you're not going to be able to just send a team of divers down once you go far enough.
Yeah, that's true too.
Pressure.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too. Is that the real archaeology is probably underwater, just because of the way things have shifted and moved for millions of years here. That's real. That's really happening. It's just are we ever going to find this stuff? I think that's the question. So I don't know. What do you think about Atlantis and Lemuria? Do you think those are actual places, or do you think it's just mythologies and stories from ancient texts?
Well, I like what Rivers said about them being names for civilizations or for entire peoples, not so much necessarily one location. I think that's an interesting idea. So I don't know. I think it's possible. I think they could have been there, and especially if there are multiple places, then it'd be hard to pin down. What if we're trying to pin everything down in one location, and that's not how it was?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah.
Just to let you know, you got a little bit of static on your mic there. I don't know if you can fix it or not. But,
you know what? Is that better?
Way better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to put the microphone on my headset down. It was pointing up at the air.
Nice.
So, pro streamer.
All good. See, if I don't ask, I don't get, right? I appreciate that. Okay, so Edgar Casey has said this too about Atlantis, that he was able to channel individuals from that area where that period in time where there was an enlightened consciousness, maybe not really a perfect state, because that's a loaded word, but more of a state where people are more consciously connected to the universe than we are today. And so if that existed in the past, he was supposedly able to, you know who Edgar Casey is, right?
Yeah, and I don't think he's the only one that has said similar things. I think I feel like I've heard other channelers and other people that have experiences with dreams and things say that they felt like they were looking back at an earlier time where and we've even heard of stories of people having visions of places that seemed like they were alien worlds. What if they weren't alien worlds? What if they were just this one? How many ever million years back?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the weirdness here. And then again, you throw in the aliens into the mix, and who knows, right? Like, who knows with all this stuff?
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. That's the question tonight. Do you think that? So if that stuff did exist, how come we can't find it today?
I think again, it's all either underwater or under layers of ground, or both.
Or both, or all of the above.
Yeah,
all of the above.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. So then, one other thought that I didn't ask you here is: so what do you think about the level of technology? Like they said that in the old days, Atlantis in particular is said to have had some sort of a crystal technology, where they were able to tap into that frequency and vibration, as described by even Nikola Tesla in recent years, more recent years anyway. That there was some sort of way to maybe harness the power of the universe itself through some technological thing. And crystals is what they called it, but I'm not sure if that's the exact translation or if it's like just us kind of trying to equate technology to something we understand today. But do you think any of that was possible? Have you heard of that crystal technology with the frequency, vibration, all that stuff?
I have, and I've heard also that a lot of supposedly obelisks around the world, especially older ones, are thought to have been some kind of technology that we don't know yet. It could be that they were connected to the amplified consciousness, the way we make taller buildings and objects today that amplify signals, phone signals, internet signals. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like it. So it is a thing. So it seems to be a thing, at least in those new age type circles. But I don't know. Are you into any kind of crystal stuff today? Do you have like quartz crystals hanging up around your room or anything like that?
I have a couple that I keep behind my pillow. Excuse me, in bed. It seems to help with keeping negative energy away, whether it's beings or I don't know for sure. I just know I have a lot less negative dreams with those crystals that I have being nearby.
Yeah. Okay. So you are a believer then? You think that maybe that stuff does help, or do you think it's the placebo effect? Just trying to pry here. On your personal beliefs.
I don't know. I don't know. I think. They do. Everything is energy, and they can supposedly. They have energy fields, and so I don't know. I know that there's a whole idea about what various crystals can do, and I don't know enough about it to say for sure. But like I said, all I know is I've noticed a difference. That's all I can say for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Sweet. Good stuff. I appreciate you calling in. Fantastic stuff as always. This is, by the way, we got a celebrity here on the line. This is James Salcedo Paranormal. Come on, man. You got to give me a little bit here. But do check out his podcast, Salcedo Paranormal. It is in the link down below on the YouTube channel, and I'll share it again in the chat right here. But he does paranormal stuff, spooky stories, and he does it three days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you're looking to get into that Halloween mood coming up in October, James is your guy, so do check out his podcast. Anything to add to the conversation or anything about your show?
No, that was it. I did do an episode tonight talking about haunted caves, and I'll be doing another one tomorrow about Wednesday about haunted mines. So, and then we're going to keep on looking into that subject for a while on and off. So it should be fun. But yeah, thank you for having me. I just wanted to call because I hadn't heard any calls yet, so I thought I'd give it a try.
Appreciate it. That's what makes the show go around. Folks like you, James. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yep, take care. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. You too. There you go. Please give James a follow. And like I said, good people are hard to find these days, as you know. James is a good one. Okay, so all right. So that's what's going on tonight. The question is this. Again, back to the Silurian hypothesis. Okay. This is again known as they call it a thought experiment, but it assesses the modern science's ability to detect evidence of a prior advanced civilization, perhaps even several million years ago. And so it basically goes like this: if there was an advanced civilization that was technologically advanced, we wouldn't even be able to find it anyway, because the Earth would have basically just swallowed it up in some capacity. Again, the plate tectonics, erosion, the whole thing, right? Like you name it, just the weather beatdowns. You guys know how brutal the weather can be from season to season, but do that over 2 million or 3 million or 5 million seasons. And that's what's on my mind tonight. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Great call from James to kick us off tonight. And that's really what's going on. Is this possible? And again, if you want to take it down the woo-woo alley, that's okay with me. If you want to talk about crystals and crystal power and frequency and vibration and maybe ancient technology that may have yet been rediscovered, I think that's the thing here. That's what's on my mind tonight if you guys want to be part of the show. So there's the first one. We've got one example here of possibly some evidence, right? And it's that ancient nuclear fission that they've described. I linked that article again. Thank you for Robert on Rockfin for linking that up. But there's more here, right? Here's one that comes from NASA. And this is from, newspunch.com. Let's just link this real quick, and we'll get to this, and then we'll keep on trucking. NASA claims dozens of advanced civilizations existed before us. This is from March 4th, 2016. And a new NASA study reveals that dozens of ancient advanced civilizations, much like ours, once existed on Earth, but they all came to an abrupt end. The study suggests that humanity as we know it could come to an end in the next few decades based on the patterns observed from these previous civilizations. So we'll go back and talk about this article and the rest of this as we keep on trucking tonight. And as always, looking to hear from you. What do you think? Is this stuff real? I guess that's the question. Do you think this is even possible, or are we just kind of spinning our wheels doing a thought experiment as they've claimed in the Wikipedia there? I hate to go to Wikipedia for any information because it's basically like the Ministry of Truth, right? Right. What's up? Ronald says, crystals calm my nerves every morning. Folgers crystals, that is. A funny guy. Always a funny guy. All right. So that's what we're doing tonight. That's what we're talking about. Ancient civilizations that are technologically advanced, and all this, do you think is possible? What kind of technology did they have? Why can't we find them today with this Silurian hypothesis, which describes maybe these civilizations being eaten up by just the regular plate tectonics, just kind of devouring things, which is again why we kind of have amnesia about our history, is because the Earth turns everything over and kind of buries it. So we're always chasing our tail trying to find out what's going on here. So anyway, great call, James. I appreciate it. So that's what's on my mind tonight. That's what we're doing. And if you're into it, well, I got some other weird stuff to get into. Or if you're not, I'll get into the weird stuff anyway. So this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we're taking your calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. And the topic tonight is ancient technologically advanced civilizations. Do you think this is real? What about Lemuria? What about Atlantis? And what about their technology, crystal power, and the rest of this? You tell me. We can take this anywhere you want to take this, because this conversation does go two ways. One more time, 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. we are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon. Aliens.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing that. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Yo ho, welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and this is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things, you may wonder? Well, aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Tonight, we are discussing ancient civilizations that may have been technologically advanced. Do you think they predated us by millions of years? And if so, what kind of technology did they have? And why can't we find evidence of this technology? That's what's on my mind tonight. That's the question. And we are taking your phone call as we are streaming live on DLive, Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. The number to call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can find the phone number and the Discord link over at troubledminds.org. Just dial up and we'll put you on the show. Let's go to Phil in Washington State. Phil, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I am most excellent, my friend. Thank you. Excuse me for taking the call.
Yeah, pleasure's ours, man. Go right ahead. What do you think about this ancient civilization stuff?
Well, I think it's a solid hypothesis. They're going to have a hard time proving it, though, because, as they said, I mean, we can't even prove Tartar, right? That's like buried under the mud. You don't think that hasn't happened several times? I mean, if you look at suspicious observers, he says we've got a recurring mini-nova coming off of our star, and that could possibly, depending on the size of that mini-nova, is what he calls it, it would pretty much melt or burn anything. I mean, like all our wood houses would be gone.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it would be like its own great reset. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I was going to say that, and then in the steel buildings, they would rust away within 1,000, 2,000 years, right? With rain, because I mean, you're talking about if you had one of those mini novas and it burned all the forests, and you have this big clouds, all that dust in there, it'd be like raining for 30 days, 40 days of rain, you know. So we would have all those cataclysms all in that one thing. So that they can't find evidence of it is no small wonder.
Yeah, I think like that part doesn't surprise me. So when people challenge it and say, "Well, there's no evidence to suggest it," well, yeah, sure, because we're talking millions of years ago, right? Like they're saying that even like the dinosaur stuff that they dig out of the ground it's literally like a minuscule amount of what is able to be found. We just may never find it because it's been, again, the Earth has been turned over on itself so many times that it's been destroyed. Like, as we know, the dinosaurs are gasoline now, right? They're petrol, they're oil. So it's like, they become that whole carbon compression thing. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I was going to say here is that. I'm sorry. Why didn't my mind go that way? There's several theories. Like you talked about the Anunnaki, that they definitely had nuclear weapons because they talk about coming to the hammered bracelet, right? The asteroid belt, by blowing it apart with bombs. Well, what kind of bomb would work? And that the only thing that would work would be an atomic bomb, right? So, and then there was they talked about in the Anunnaki, they talked about the ill wind that they dropped in because they dropped some bombs that the wind, they didn't gauge the wind quite correctly, and it went in and killed a bunch of their friends, right? So yeah, no, this is we've had this technology on Earth before, and this is kind of why the spaceships the flying saucers all showed up when we started doing it again, because they figured something, we had bad aliens on the planet again, but it was us.
It was us.
It
was us.
Did we get the technology from, the Draco or somebody like that?
Yeah, so that's exactly it, and we're even maybe the Dracos or the Sleestack as from that Land of the Lost show. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it kind of gives you an idea of maybe, it is fiction, it is a television show, but it kind of gives you an idea of maybe what that would have looked like, kind of just in a fictional stance there. What do you think about the crystal power stuff and Atlantis and the rest of that? Do you think there was something to that advanced civilization having like a really high consciousness and all the rest of that? Go ahead, sir.
No, I know about it. Yeah, because I was in it. I had an experience going back into my past lives, and I was in this in Atlantis when it was at its heyday and at its fall. So, yeah, we had there's some scientific evidence about using crystals for computers. Well, we were doing that. That's these skulls, Max and Shanana, are the only two that I know of that are still on, or that are out in the public right now. Of those the 13 ancient crystal skulls that we created as a computer basis, that was our computer at that time.
Interesting. Yeah, the crystal skulls.
So
we haven't done a show on that.
And energy. I mean, we were doing plasma work. We were doing genetic work. I mean, we were doing all sorts of stuff back then.
Yeah. So, okay. So
no.
And so you think it translates. Interesting that it is crystals, right? So crystal power. And Google recently actually recreated or created out of a hypothesis they didn't know existed, a time crystal. And like you said, it's computer based. This is actually inside of like a quantum computer type environment. So yeah, it does stand to reason that maybe crystals were maybe that ancient technology we're talking about. I like it. I hadn't considered the crystal skulls, but I have heard that.
Yeah, no, yeah, we did have crystal computers or quantum computers, if you want to call them that. I think we call them something different, but yeah, so we did have that, and it wasn't the first time that we had that technology. You got to remember, we go through a precession of the precession of the equinoxes every 25,920 years. 72 years for 1 degree to go around the zodiac, right? So every time we have these cycles in the sun, as every 11 years we have an increased sunspot activity, and it goes through a quiescence where there's almost no sunspots. Well, there's other cycles to the sun, and the fall of Atlantis. I'm not too sure about whether it fell at the 12,000 or 13,000 mark or the previous 12,000 years, so about 25,920. I think that's when the actual fall of Atlantis. And I think that's when the Anunnaki came in. They might have been the ones that caused us to be taken down because, they wanted the gold and, we weren't going to let them have it.
Yeah, interesting. So some of those stories suggest the Anunnaki were around for a much longer time than that, but who knows, right? Like some of these sources are, let's say.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is the thing. Our history has been so, just like the Tatar thing, we don't have any record of that really. It's just something that just came up because they noticed some buildings that were buried up to, I forget how many meters of mud that are,
Yeah, no, you're correct. So, I was going to make that exact point. I was just going a long way around. So let me ask you then.
Yeah.
So you said you have channeled to a past life and were in Atlantis at some point. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Well, so we had a pretty high society. I mean, we were global, right? We went around the globe. In fact, we were beginning to travel up around in the planetary system, and we picked up some Martians that were having a bad time because the Martian got a bad deal when Melgak was exploded, right? So those people came back to Atlantis, and that kind of caused a rift. They were seeking power, and they were very sneaky about it, and they kind of caused us. We felt that they caused the calamity, but it might have been some other people that were after them. We don't know. I mean, I can't say.
Yeah,
but I mean, we had all sorts of stuff. I mean, we had air conditioning. We could fly around the globe if we wanted to. We could do all that stuff. It was, and then they got the dates wrong on those pyramids in New Mexico and Mexico too. Those are much older than what they say. They're congruent with the pyramids in Giza. The only ones that are older are like the Bosnian pyramids. Those are way older.
Yeah.
So that's about I'm going to say 75,000 or 60,000 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to get into some of that as well, dating some of these ancient civilizations. Some people claim that the Sphinx is, greater than, 20,000 years old, things like this. So, that's again, we're doing our best to try and figure out scientifically, but when you're working with such a small data pool of, finds, archaeological finds, this is what we get. We get some speculation. We get, the fact that there's it's impossible. It's impossible to put it all together from just evidence, right? You have to, I think you have to kind of use some speculative intuition there as well. Fantastic stuff. I appreciate the call, Phil. Anything else while we got you on the phone tonight?
Well, I'm just going to say it's, you can call it intuition. I mean, it's kind of an intuition, but it also is. There's other things that come with that intuition. There's claircognizance, there's clairsentience, there's clairaudience, there's clairvoyance. So you can remote view these things. You can sense into these, feel into all of these things. So, I mean, that's how we're going to discover a lot of this. And then, follow up with research because, we'll point to where the civilization is buried,
Yeah, exactly.
Where it wasn't on the continental shelf. A lot of it was on the continental shelf at that time.
Exactly. And which we're going to keep talking about tonight. Fantastic stuff. I appreciate it, Phil. You're amazing. I appreciate the call.
You bet.
Have a great night, my man. We'll talk to you soon.
You too, man.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. There you go. Phil in Washington State. And you can be on the show as well. Tonight we're discussing this. It's called the Silurian hypothesis. And what if we aren't the first advanced civilization on Earth? And great stuff from Phil there. And, I think there's more to it than this. It's just like there's more to being human than just lucky mud and we're just bags of meat, right? There's more to it. There you go. All right. AKA I see there. AKA 71 Blah. What's up, buddy? Welcome to the chat. Okay, so what we're doing tonight is that's what we're discussing. Let's go to this article too. I want to point this out. Before I do that, if you want to be part of the show, we're taking your phone calls. Thank you, James, and thank you, Phil, for calling in so far. We're looking to hear from you guys, though. What do you think about this ancient civilization stuff regarding, let's say, Lemuria or Atlantis, or let's say ones that really have not been discovered as of yet? And do you think that they existed, and do you think they were technologically advanced? That's the question on my mind tonight. And again, this Silurian hypothesis states that, if they did exist, the evidence of them would be wiped away. And so that's what's going on tonight. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show, just like Phil there and just like James. Appreciate the calls, guys. But let's look at this article. This is pretty fascinating. This is from, again, newspunch.com. And NASA claims dozens of advanced civilizations existed before us. And I don't mean like building the pyramids. I mean like actual advanced civilizations, right? Like you would expect, technologically advanced. It says, here we go, from that's right from the article. If we look back in history 3,000 to 5,000 years, we will find a historical record that clearly shows us how advanced and complex civilizations were just as susceptible to collapse as we are today. This ongoing pattern has led researchers to question the future existence of society and civilization as we know it. If we were to look back further in time, over 10,000 years, we would encounter evidence of advanced civilizations that possibly predate the pre-Inca, Olmec, and ancient Egyptian civilization, not to mention other advanced ancient civilizations in ancient Mesopotamia. It is difficult to overlook the repeating patterns identified by scholars in most of these civilizations, and the NASA-funded study is clear evidence of the path ancient civilizations on Earth have taken for thousands of years. This is considered by many people as a sign that clearly states that ancient civilizations have reset a number of times. And just like Phil was saying, there's like a cycle. There's like a long cycle, very much like we've talked about the Mayan calendar, the Bakhtuns, and the 25 to 26,000 years or whatever it is. And that's what's on my mind tonight. So do you think this is possible? And if so we can get into some of this other stuff. Like I said, it was said that maybe Atlantis had crystal power. And so not just the individual, not like ancient Egypt. Clearly they were an advanced civilization for the time, but not just for the time, a sufficiently advanced civilization for any time. And that's what we're talking about here, maybe millions of years ago. So this, just to fill you in if you're just showing up, the Silurian hypothesis says this. They say it's a thought experiment which assesses modern science's ability to detect evidence of a prior advanced civilization, perhaps even several million years ago. And that's what's up. If there was one or several, would we even know? And, just like kind of the ancient astronaut theorists say yes. What do you say? I think that's the question here is we can go through some of this stuff and think about it, consider it. But more fascinating to me is what kind of technology do you think they may have? If we're talking about an ancient advanced civilization, again, with Lemuria and Atlantis on the table, again, sort of woo-woo and, you're only going to find evidence like, quote, evidence of this in New Age type circles. That's fine by me. But what kind of technology did they have? Was it like I suggested, the crystal power? We'll get into that in the after we get past the bottom of the hour here. I want to make sure we talk about some of this other stuff. But okay, that's what's on my mind. Looking to hear from you, 702-957-1037, and let's go to some more of this. I got some more articles here that should be pretty good stuff. Hold on, let's see. We've got ancient advanced civilizations, of course. So we're talking about China, 2100 BC. We're talking about Egypt. They say 3150 BC. The Incas, again, 1200. That's actually AD. Let's see, ancient Greece, 800 BC. Like, these are kind of a list of the top most advanced ancient civilizations, and those are the ones we know about. So we're kind of discussing the actual what we don't know about, and the reason why we wouldn't know about it is because, of course, the Earth itself would kind of reset as it resets. Right? We have these super volcanoes. We have all kinds of different things happening all the time that, especially over millions of years periods here that we're talking about, like 56 million years ago, that I think this stuff would have been kind of wiped away, right? And that's what's going on. That's what's on my mind tonight. And what do you guys think? Again, and we'll get into if they had actual technology, what kind of technology would they have had? And some people here's the weird thing about that too, is that regarding technology and kind of like consciousness with people, they describe like an ancient time with Lemuria or Atlantis as a time of conscious awareness, where that we are now basically catching up to that. As we talk about the age of Aquarius, the Great Awakening. As you can see, I think all you have to do is look around and see there's a lot more people waking up now than there have been in the past here. And so, what does it mean? Is this again, history repeats itself, and we're here just kind of chasing our tail again and trying to become what we once were? And with that in mind, like I said, the thing that fascinates me the most here is what if there was an ancient technology that was based on crystals. What's up, Richard says, fractals, birth, growth, peak, decline, death, and rebirth. And I think that's a great way to put the cycle. Let's see, what else is here? Let's see, we got some good stuff in the chat before we go to the break here, but we'll get into the crystal technology, Lemuria, and Atlantis after the break here. Justin says, Sphinx shows weathering of tropical and rainforest. Last time that area had estimated 25,000 years ago. And I think that's the part, right? That's the issue here with anthropology and archaeology. It depends on where you get the information from. As always, it depends on who you ask, right? Do humans have a soul? Same sort of question, right? It depends on who you ask. Some people will say yes. Some people will say no. Some people will say, well, let's discuss that, right? And let's consider the possibilities here. And that's us. I'm not trying to tell you anything is true or not here, but I think some of this stuff is definitely worth a discussion, and that's what we're doing tonight. Great stuff in the chat, guys. I appreciate it. And again, we're talking about ancient technologically advanced civilizations. If they existed, would we be able to find them? And the Silurian hypothesis says no. Very much like the ancient astronaut theorists say yes. Well, the Silurian hypothesis says that the Earth would have wiped them off the face of the planet with plate tectonics and the rest of this. So, I don't know. You guys tell me. As always, this is a two-way conversation, so I'd love to hear from you if you guys want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And let's see. Let's go to Jack in Washington. What's up, Jack? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. So, first piece of tidbit that I noticed was actually pre-existing stuff that could be seen. Like, for instance, Machu Picchu. It appears to me as if it looks like, oh, hey, the water was all the way up here, so we carved this. We are a boat-faring place. It's like, So I'm thinking water and stuff like that was a big part of this. So I'm going to throw the pyramids of Giza in there real quick and say, people are like, I don't know how to build it today. I don't know. And I'm trying to think about, like, okay, you take a sanding wheel or a big piece of sandpaper or whatever. We all know we can maybe grab a rock and shave it down, but we never really, like, dunk that rock or brick underwater and shave it down. I think you'd have much more efficiency and much more ease with shaping things. So basically my point is, I speculate maybe the entire pyramids were built while there was still water. They're possibly built underwater. Machu Picchu looks like it was shaved out of a beach-faring community, really. And when you look at it now, you can't really tell. But
yeah, it's in the mountains.
So I'm going to throw water in there as technology.
Gotcha. Right on. Hey, I appreciate the call. It's Jack, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jack.
Thanks
if you want to hang
so
on, appreciate the call. Thank you so much for calling. There we go. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Sorry to cut you off. We are up against a break here. More Troubled Minds after the break. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're talking about technically advanced ancient civilizations. Does it exist? Is it real? We're talking about the possibilities of maybe Atlantis, Lemuria, and others. And if they existed, would we be able to find them anyway? The Silurian hypothesis says no, even though ancient astronaut theorists say yes. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what you say and what you think. One more time, you want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show. Once again, sorry about Jack. I cut you off there because we had a commercial. I wasn't watching the clock. I took the call, and then we had to cut you off. So if you want to call back, you're more than welcome. If you had more things to add there, you were on a roll with the water and some other things that we're talking about. Great stuff. Okay, let's go to this too. Like I said, I wanted to get to some of this crystal stuff, and they say that let's see, hold on, all right, we've got Lemuria, we've got Atlantis, and here we go. All right, hold on, there we go. All right, this is from the newearth.org, and this seems to be one of those channeled type situations where they're discussing maybe what Atlantis was like through by possibly channeling like another civilization, right? And maybe even people in past life regressions and things like this. I'm not exactly sure, but this is pretty interesting because this is called The Story of the Fall of Atlantis and the Atlantean Use of Crystals. And as we're talking about, some people have noted in the chat there that, the silicon technology with computers and whatnot, and, I pointed out the time crystals that Google has recently created in a lab. Well, is this what we're talking about? Is this what we're doing? Is this that same, again, the cycle completing, again, as above, so below, and that whole bit, like Lacey said in the chat there. What does it mean? What does it mean? I think that there's a lot here that is good. But let's look at this. So Atlantis is indeed the missing link of Pangaea. This is straight from the article, located in mid-Atlantic. We will share with you its story in detail below, but be aware, not all of the great temple crystals of Atlantis were lost. Indeed, some of you were involved in their rescue. And so they're saying that the actual technology was some sort of crystal technology and that some of it has survived. Like was mentioned by Phil there in the call, that maybe the crystal skulls, like I said, we haven't done a show on that, but maybe we should, that the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull, it was said that it spoke. It spoke telepathically to the people that found it, I can't remember the young lady's name, but Mitchell Hedges' daughter was apparently the one who spoke to the crystal skull telepathically. So here we go. It says, these crystals were saved from destruction, and now you are offered the memory of why. For such magnificent crystal beings offer all of you so much. Again, like I said, this is a little bit woo, a little bit like maybe spiritually going into like a past life hypnosis type regression situation. But it says, here we go. It says Atlantis existed for over 200,000 years. The vast majority of the Atlantean times were epochs of light. Only the final phase, the period from 17,500 BC to 10,500 BC, was in your terms a dark era, but one rich in lessons. And so they call this a time of an awakening time, when the return to the quantum crystalline field. And again, this is that technology, right? So they're talking about the golden age of Atlantis. And here we go. Atlantis is a great, let's see, hold on. The deluge of Atlantis, let's see, where's the stuff? The crystal satellite, they say. Although it says throughout Atlantis, power grid crystals called posers, P-O-S-E-R-S, were triangulated and connected through an alloyed gold-copper rod under a spherical dome that could be angled to receive specific stellar, solar, and gravitational energy waves. This was the system used to power homes, offices, media, and theaters, manufacturing concerns, medical centers, schools, and businesses. Now, this poser system, P-O-S-E-R, was received in such structure by receiving crystal units of various sizes. This system was also able to receive specialized refracted light and feed it into the ley energy system for use in the interdimensional tunnel system, and feed crystalline light into conductive earth currents to raise the frequency into a semi-aware electromagnetic plasmic field of benevolent energy capable of retaining spiritual frequencies. All right, did you hear what I just said there? That's a mouthful. I'm going to say it again slowly. Now, this is the weirdness, right? So we're talking about technologically advanced ancient civilizations. And in particular, like I said, I pointed out that Atlantis has long been described by psychics like Edgar Casey and things like this, that there was a phone number's up, Tim. Appreciate you. What's up, buddy? 702-957-1037. But is there some sort of like, again, I'm going to read this because it's dense, right? So specialized energy fields were projected. I'm sorry, wait, that's not the one. Okay, so this system, the power grid crystals, was able to receive specialized refracted light and feed it into the ley energy system for use in the interdimensional tunnel system, and feed crystalline light into conductive earth currents to raise the frequency into, now this is the crazy part, raising the frequency into a semi-aware electromagnetic plasmic field of benevolent energy capable of retaining spiritual frequencies. Now that is a mouthful, but you see, it starts to become something more like, less like technology and more like, channeling, more like maybe connecting through using the technology to connect to the universe at large, and not necessarily technology itself like we think of it, like you get in the car, it's got the gas, you put in it, you turn the thing and a spark in the battery and it goes, right? Not like that at all. Like an actual energy that combines with consciousness, with people, with the growth of that. And so that's kind of what I'm saying, right? And again, there's no evidence for this as far as I'm aware. There's, it's channeling. It's, like Edgar Casey and this type of stuff, kind of channeling back to the old days of maybe we were there, maybe past life regression and things like this. Maybe that's what's going on here. Yeah, so good stuff here. Okay, let's see. All right, we got, let's go to Tim in Georgia. Tim, Tinfoil Timothy University. Welcome, my friend. How are you tonight? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Doing all right?
Doing all right, man. Just chilling, talking about crazy stuff.
Yeah, man. Speaking of crystals, if people will remember Al Bielek, the Philadelphia experiment guy, about 26 years ago or so, he gave at a seminar, he talked about one of his trips in time into the future in which the automated systems were run on irradiated crystalline technology that had actually been adapted from ancient times. And that's what they told him in the future. Now, what's really scary is the 154-page FOIA document that came out with all those diagrams and interesting technology earlier this year, back in March, actually proved most of Al Bielek's stories he was telling everybody correct, because long before that came out this year, he was drawing some of those diagrams on bulletin boards at his presentations 30 years ago. And you can't get around that. You can't get around that he has described some of this technology and that he said he worked on and knew the people that worked on it. And then decades later, it actually becomes a reality. And you realize the patents have been there and are just now released to the public, but the patents had been filed 40, 50, 60, and some of them 70 years ago. So there is a type of process that they can take quartz crystals and they can irradiate them, bombard them with different types of radiation, and they can cut them for the piezoelectric effect, like your crystal diode radio. When I was a kid, my old man showed us how to make our own crystal diode radio and how to make our own antenna depending on what station we wanted to tune in. There's a math formula you can use to build your own antenna so that you can specifically make it to tune in. Say if you want 95.5 FM, you can build an antenna that will specifically receive, and it'll receive other stuff too, but it'll be tailor-made for that frequency. Well, there was once upon a time they used to educate our people, especially people in radio and tech in our military, on the piezoelectric effect. And at one time, it was well known there was over 3,000 ways you could cut a crystal and get different effects from it, different amounts of electricity, but more importantly, different wavelengths, different signal strengths. And then add to that all the experimentation that's been done, especially after World War II, with that technology. The biggest example I can give people is look up Israel putting the repository of information on the moon. Those are irradiated information crystals that have been bombarded with some type of radiation, and they can store information long term, and they are their own power source. You don't need a power source to view that information. The device you would use to use it works off that piezoelectric effect, and that's the other part of the technology for the agenda of sustainable living in the 21st century is stuff that's not going to rely on rechargeable battery or, even renewable energy sources. It'll produce its own.
Yeah, that's crazy. And so this is not even a new technology, is what we're saying. If Al Bielek is correct, this has been around for a very long time.
Thousands of years old. The Sumerian tablets a couple years ago, they finally deciphered what was a very complex mathematical algorithm, and they applied that computer code and realized it's very advanced forms of algebra that existed long before the person that we gave the credit to in the 16th century for inventing those. He actually didn't invent them. They were already there for thousands of years, and people were using them in ancient times, especially pre-Diluvian times. People were using a lot of technology, and it's a rinse-repeat cycle. We don't own the earth. If you can't tell what's happening with every government in the world, then that's kind of the writing on the wall is we're not in control of this big boat.
Yeah, right. I think if you can mark down anything as being true, that's definitely it for 100%. So regarding like this Atlantis stuff and like the crystal technology, how far back do you think this goes? Is it literally like millions of years, like are described in some of these channeling sessions, or like Edgar Casey has said?
Well, our Creator has the end-all, be-all answer to that. And I think as long as there's been a civilization in the galaxy, that technology has been there. It's just whether or not who gets access to it and when, at what stage of development, which phase. Long ago, some of the greatest minds ever put together by our government answering a lot of questions about, like, what will we do in the case of the advent of meeting real extraterrestrials. And the biggest fear by the greatest minds was always this, especially going back to the 1950s, and some of your best science fiction authors out there as well, all agreed upon one thing. The worst enemy we could ever meet is an advanced human civilization that spans the galaxy, that looks like us, talks like us, walks like us, and we are them, made in their image by the Creator. And we lose our compassion and humanity with our small gains in technology. What happens, do you think, to a galactic empire and a race of people been around for hundreds of thousands, millions of years of continuous civilization, run from a central hub? And that's your core of government. And that draconian government is passed down to each world. And it's up to that government whether or not it wants its inhabitants to know it's part of a greater whole. There's a lot of reasons for that. Could you imagine 7 billion people wanting to clamor to get off the planet to go everywhere else? What that would do if everybody knew? People would like to get, a lot of people would just throw everything in, throw in the towel and say, I'm done. If you think collapse of civilization would be fast, it would be back, it would be gone in a New York minute if a lot of truth came out.
Yeah, I think that bit's for sure is that we're definitely living in a repeating cycle, as described in the chat there. As above, so below, nothing new under the sun. All that stuff. It's we're again. I like your idea there that it's about not the technology itself. It's been around. It's the access. It's us being able to put our dirty mittens on it, as it were.
If you'll follow what Wilcox is doing with To the Stars Academy, he's got him a warehouse. They've got that deal with the Army, They had to tell all the investors the other day that they haven't actually done anything with the Army yet, as per the agreement that they have because of COVID. So they have a very short, narrow window with the Army to explore this supposed extraterrestrial technology that defies gravity, because they're going to build these anti-gravity vehicles, and Wilcox is a major part of this. And
Tom
what
DeLonge.
this actually is
Tom DeLonge, you mean?
Is one big lie to sell you and I and the world public and the American public, where trillions of your tax dollars has gone to these private entities in order for them to develop this on our dime and bear and get the fruits from it, and we all get screwed. And he's kind of like a middle guy in all this to help furnish an answer to us, which is to blame it on aliens, and that's not it at all. They're as human as you and I are. And that's a reality that's going to strike people home. They realize what world government's up to, and I keep saying this is an alien thought process to you and I, but it's not a little green men or some freaking grays from Zeta Reticuli. Until you can produce that carcass, you got to go with what you know. And our history of digging in the ground, we don't find aliens. We find other human beings at varying genetic levels, varying degrees, but we're all still test human as DNA. We have not found a body yet that tests as something else that's not got human DNA in it. Until we do, then we have to assert that those things are, they're a great story. They're part of science fiction, but it's not reality. The reality is we see ancient man had the ability to build the greatest monuments to stand the test of time, the seven ancient wonders of the world. And how did they do that?
That's a hell of a question. Hey, Tim, please follow Tinfoil Timothy University. Tim here has his own show on YouTube. Go give him some love. Very smart dude, on top of the game. I have to let you go, my brother, because I got a call right behind you. Want to get him in before the radio clock. If you got more to add, you're welcome to call back after the top of the hour. Okay.
I sure will, Mike. Thanks, man.
You're the best, Tim. Thank you for calling. We'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic night. There you go. That's good stuff. Again, go check out Tinfoil Timothy University. That's Tim in Georgia. Fantastic stuff. Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. Welcome, buddy. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and unmute, and you are on the show. So we're talking about ancient civilizations tonight, and not just the ancient variety. We're talking about the technological variety, and that's what's going on. I'm not sure exactly where this is, like Tim suggested. Is it possible that this particular information has been the way it's been forever? The technology has been there, and we are just trying to figure it out now, trying to kind of reconnect with that cycle, that circular pattern over the long periods here. That's what's going on. That's what's on my mind tonight. And what do you guys think? One more time, 702-957-1037. Do follow Tinfoil Timothy University. I'll have the link, and I'll put it down below in the show as well as soon as we're done here. Derek in Massachusetts, Night Stalker. What's up, buddy? Are you there? Test 1 2. Testing 1 2. Let's go to the chat for just a sec. Give Derek a minute to catch up. There's usually a 1 minute delay, so it's a little tough when you're on Discord trying to catch up. Whenever you're ready, Derek, I'm going to go to the Rockfin over here, see what's happening over there. Ronald says, I remember a story about a guy in Florida who carved huge blocks of coral into different shapes. One of the carvings was a huge rocking chair that could be rocked using one finger. The carvings would appear overnight. They still haven't figured out how he did it. And we haven't actually done that show. I know who you're talking about. We'll get to that guy as well. Derek in Massachusetts, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah. I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand why I can't get the Discord thing right. I'm sorry, brother. It's embarrassing.
It's okay. It's okay. You're good. Go right ahead.
It's literally just one button. It just every time you click me in, it pops up the join voice button again. And I'm clicking. I don't know. I don't understand. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sorry. All right. Cool show, brother. Awesome stuff. A couple of quick thoughts. I'm not sure if you already covered it. Jot a couple ideas down. It almost reminds me of I've been watching The Matrix a lot recently, and it reminds me of how the architect talks about the different 6 or 7 different iterations of the Matrix, how it keeps happening over and over again. And I know this isn't exactly what you're talking about, but if we are in some kind of simulation, then I wonder if this rise and fall really is happening like that. If there was an identical technological civilization that at one point rose to the point we are, And if something happened, if like a giant asteroid crashed or a huge solar flare, EMP or something, like after a few thousand years, like most of what we made wouldn't really last, you know? They might really only find like the Statue of Liberty and that kind of stuff, you know? So they might put the pieces together and think we were more ancient than we were, you know? Might misinterpret things. Like once I heard Duncan Trussell mention, like, what if like 10,000 years in the future, they see like track prints of people's like Nike sneakers on the ground and how it has all the weird designs and like squiggles in the bottom of it, and they think, wow, these ancients, they were so connected with the earth. They would wear like grid patterns on their feet that would like tie them to the electrical currents of the earth. You know,
sacred geometry.
On the exactly on their feet. It's amazing. Yeah. So like, who knows if we're kind of doing part of that, you know? But to go like and cut me off anytime. I know we're running down to the window.
Okay.
But it makes me think, like, I asked Bailey recently, or a few weeks ago in the chat, like a month ago maybe at this point, like what the internet was, and like if somehow like we threw everything into the cloud, like all our information goes up into the cloud, and then like something happens where we all just like drop dead, or there's like some rapture or something where just nobody's using the technology at all, like we disappear like Jamestown or whatever. And is that information still in the cloud somewhere? So if we all vanish, we put our information digitally, when another civilization gets to the point we were at when we did that, and they turn on their equivalent of that technology, are they going to like stumble onto our entire internet? Are they going to find all our selfies from like 10,000 years ago on this like digital cloud? And like, that's what I mean. And then like, are we doing that? Like, what if that happens to us? Like we stumble into some kind of like ancient internet or some kind of like digital Akashic record, and like we find that this happened already. The internet already happened already, and we lost it, you know? Or like, what if like civilizations do it on purpose, and it really is like some kind of vibrational thing? It's tough to not sound new agey when you're talking about vibrations and frequency and stuff, but just like literally the difference between physical matter and light is just the speed of which it's vibrating. So what if cultures really did just like become light and like move past the physical plane and are still all around? Like there's like these crazy crystal light cities like all around us. Not drinks, but like crystal. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Not crystal.
As you know, we're out of time. You want to stick around for after the break here? We'll skip the break and go right to you. Okay. So hang tight, Derek. I appreciate it. I'm going to mute you. We'll come back and get you in like one and a half minutes or so. There you go. Appreciate the phone calls tonight, guys. Appreciate you tuning into this and making sure that you're keeping me straight on the straight and narrow here. Because who knows? This stuff may be real. This stuff may not. It depends on who you talk to, like everything else. Don't worry. I'm not trying to convert you to some new age cult. I promise you, you get to leave this radio program tonight believing exactly what you believed when you showed up. So don't get me wrong. That's not what this is about. There is no cult of troubled minds. It's just us. Like I always say, I'm me, you're you, but together we're us, and that's a very powerful thing. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening on any other platform, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. All right, we are off the Fringe FM. We're going to keep on trucking here. We got Derek from Massachusetts on the Discord here, the Night Stalker. So we're going to just cut it. We're going to take the break after. No reason to make him wait while we do this. So let's do it. Let's go straight back to Derek in Massachusetts. We're going to keep on trucking, talking about ancient civilizations and ancient technology. Go right ahead, my friend. Welcome back to the show.
Here we go. Okay, yeah. So, there was Tinfoil Timothy University before me, right? Your caller?
Yes.
When he was talking about the crystal idea and how you can store information on crystals, and I think that's like the the crux of it. And obviously I don't know how that works or whatever, but what if, like, it reminds me of in DC Comics, the Superman's from Krypton, and like the way, especially like all the TV and movie iterations of it over the last few years, they really depict it as like this kind of crystal level technology civilization that kind of stores all the information on technology. So Krypton in that universe is destroyed like a whole generation ago, but they keep popping up and they keep like having different Kryptonians make appearances on all these shows and movies and stuff because they stored all their information and their knowledge and even their consciousness on these crystals that can be like tossed around the universe and popped into the machines. And then like he learns everything about Krypton, Superman, from his dad, like an AI version of his dad that is like implanted in a crystal, and it acts like his dad. It if you didn't know it wasn't somebody like a Zoom chat, you would think it would be a Zoom. So I wonder if that happens like either on Earth or at other like spots in the universe. I wonder if like that's like the function of crystals. Like can you access other information that are stored? I don't know. Like it makes me wonder about like how come, obviously it's fiction, but why the Kryptons look like humans? Yeah, they never really address it as far as I know, in like if there's like a common ancestry between Krypton and Earth, or just in any sci-fi mythology. Like what if I don't know, like what if the aliens are us, like the last caller was saying? Like what if it goes back way farther than Atlantis or Lemuria, and they're just like I don't know. I'm rambling. I kind of lost my train of thought. But sorry.
Here's what I really like about that. I never actually considered it. Is that you're right with that Krypton stuff. I never read DC Comics Smack My Hand, but I did see the movies for the old days with Christopher Reeve, and I do remember in that it was at the Superman 2 with the Fortress of Solitude, and he put the crystal in. They were in Antarctica or something, right? Because nobody could get there, only he could get there. He could fly there, so he built his little palace there, and it was with those machines. Those again, and even in terms of like Superman, right? Because he's coming from an ancient civilization. It's just an ancient alien civilization on another planet. So that technology to them is probably very old as well. So here he is accessing ancient technology through crystals, and not just like you say a Zoom call, maybe consciousness with his dead father anyway. It gets we talk about lifting our consciousness, putting it in hard drives, but that would erode. Like that would be dead by the time, you unplug it and let it sit for 10,000 years. It's garbage. There's nothing there. But if somehow you can embed that in a crystal is kind of eternal, isn't it? You can't melt that down. Interesting, man. I never thought of it in terms of that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And it makes you wonder about like if he's talking to his dad's AI as like this, and the dad's AI is completely like self-aware. It understands that a lot of time has passed. It understands like contextually where Superman is. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not a program. It's like it's a consciousness. So that's like the best version of it. Like your father's memories talking to you. But my mind goes right to an evil ancient AI. Like what if we got to this point in technology? Like what if we got to the Matrix? Like what if the Matrix movies took place 1 million years ago? You know what I mean? And like Agent Smith or whatever, or some like machine hive mind exists, like birthed itself into existence, and then lost technology. Would that ancient AI exist somewhere in the ether? And is that what's trying to create a new vessel? And is that like the thing that we talk about trying to affect our technology? It's like it's almost like it's trying to rebuild itself, or rebuild the society, the conditions where it can exist. Like it's trying to get it to build a vessel for it again, or to build the infrastructure where it can like affect reality again. You know what I mean? It's a different take on like our ultra-terrestrials or aliens guiding our hands, or entities from the other side. Like, what if it's like, I don't know. What if we create this AI hive mind, super AI god thing that they talk about, whatever, and then just an EMP hits, and we can't access that hive mind anymore? Is it still there? And I don't know the answer to that. And if it is, that might seem kind of like a demon to people for thousands and thousands of years. Something that's trying to talk to you from the other side to coax you, because it's timeless, to get you to create something that can get back home, you know?
Back to the Elon Musk is creating robots for the evil AI to jump into.
yeah.
He's trying.
It always comes back to that, right? Lately, but makes me wonder that. To bring it back to a little bit more normal, like besides just Atlantis and Lemuria, a lot of people talk about Kemet, ancient Kemet, which is like Proto-Egypt, which is where like the idea that all of like the pre-dynastic Egypt, or like the idea that the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid is way, way older, that like the Egyptians said that they like found it like that almost, that it's this civilization called Kemet, and that's where like chemistry is from. It's sometimes referred to like different names or whatever, but the idea that they almost worked in this way, where they had a better understanding of like, I guess again, like vibrations and stuff, and they're able to move things around much easier. Like they're like almost like they're weightless, so you can physically move these giant stones around. And there's ideas also that like they, again, it just sounds so new agey, so I'm like cringing trying to talk about, but the 5D idea, or that if you do ascend to a certain level of consciousness, you can potentially like build almost like in the astral plane, like this like the 3D realm is almost it's not primary, and they're like building stuff up in this other, I don't know. So the idea of being like these ancient structures that are impossible to build, they were done so almost instantaneously because you're able to do so like in this etheric realm, where you're able to do this like almost like with your mind, and then it just kind of manifests itself. So if cultures get to that point or whatever, I don't know. It's when you try to look at the trajectory of where we could possibly go in the craziest sci-fi mystically possible thing, it seems like there's some kind of this weird consciousness evolution, and then just take that time scale and imagine that happened 1 million years ago, and it's this up and down thing. Would those entities, or those prior versions of us, still be lingering somewhere in like the collective, you know? And then those things that are like interacting with us all the time, but they're just other iterations of this of humanity, you know? I never really thought about it until like your show, so it's just another filter to process all this kind of ancient alien type stuff, like, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It is funny that once you start like kind of a train of thought going, it's like I said, half the stuff comes to me. It's probably very apparent as I'm speaking, like, because my brain's kind of working through things as I'm talking, and like I've said, like once your mouth is moving, like your brain kind of works a little bit faster, and so some of this stuff just kind of comes up. I hadn't even considered it before the show, but now I'm talking about it during the show. It just kind of comes to me, you know, and I wonder, right? Like, is that I'm not some super smart guy here or anything. I'm just saying that like maybe that information is coming from somewhere else, right? Maybe I'm not claiming to be a channeler or something, but like, you know, Tesla has, you know, Nikola Tesla said that the information he was getting didn't come from himself. So it makes me wonder. It kind of ties back to exactly what you're talking about here. That statement I just made is that maybe that technology is in the ether. It's there. Like we've said in the past, if it's in the air, well, maybe it actually is. It's just like a technology that we haven't even been able to come close to at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. And just I had something else when I was going to call, like a kind of completely different idea. But just before I go, like the idea that the way Atlantis is depicted in the Aquaman movie is really cool. It's worth honestly just like YouTubing Aquaman movie Atlantis scene or whatever, just to see like the special effects they did or whatever, and the way they depicted it. It is like a high society or high technology society that was abusing technology. They specifically like make it about the trident that he uses, like that's the peak of their technology, and they're trying to manipulate it, and that's what causes this like the whole kind of grit to fry and then to literally fall into the ocean. But like just to keep to that idea, like what if there's an advanced society that kind of like goes like below the sea, like Lacey mentioned it. What if it literally is like as above, so below sea level, and that there's like a rise and fall of going like dipping, like I don't know, going below the surface, and even and that could be like all the USOs and the alien stuff could just be this advanced civilization that's just below. I mean, just outside of our reach, still on this planet, you know, and even like Hollow Earth type stuff that goes inside. Like, what if the outside of the planet really is the most fragile part to be at? And if you had the option, if your technology was advanced enough, you wouldn't like be hanging out on the shell. You'd probably go on the inside, you know. And so, what if that's why like our civilization keeps going up and down, rising and falling? It's just because we're trying to live on the outside. And what if like not every version of us did that? And what if sometimes they go inside, or they go off world, or they go into another dimension and they phase out of this reality and they keep coming in at certain times to kind of check up on us or check up on their kind of hometown, so to speak, you know? Because I see their own stomping grounds phase back into this reality, you know? I'm kind of losing my train of thought, so I'm gonna let you go and see what everyone else says. But really cool topic tonight, Mike, as usual.
I appreciate it. Really fantastic call and thoughts. And again, you're inspiring me and other folks. Keep it up, my friend. Daryl in Massachusetts.
You're the best, Mike.
Derek.
Thank you, bro.
Have a great night, bro.
Thank you, dude.
Daryl's up next. Up next. There you go. All right. So appreciate that. Derek in Massachusetts is what I meant to say. That's the Night Stalker. Always new stuff. Like Matt says, wouldn't be an episode of Troubled Minds without Night Stalker blowing my mind. And exactly right. There you go. So you guys tell me, what is this about? Is there a, let's see. There you go. Brian says, Mike, I promise you pretty soon I will have a phone conversation with you, and it won't be long now. Okay. All right. If you keep putting it like that, it sounds like a threat. So I promised you one day I'll have a phone conversation and you won't like it. You won't like it. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody's welcome to call anytime. All right. Good stuff, Derek, as always. Daryl, let me know if you're next. We're going to jump to that break now. I'm going to go because I have to take the dog out and grab myself another cold one. So we're going to take a 2-minute break. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we're just hanging out. Great stuff from Derek, the Night Stalker there. And we're going to keep on thinking about this. We're going to keep on considering, like I said, probably, you know, to me, when you think of ancient civilizations, the most fascinating thing to me isn't that they probably existed. I think that's probably you pound a little bit of maybe juice, and I think that's just the facts, right? I think that's it. But I think the thing that's more fascinating to me is the cycles of technology built into those ancient civilizations. Is that there's been some speculation that there was some high technology in the very, very old days, and even like again, the scientists here are describing this as Silurian hypothesis, meaning that they think that there's a possibility 55 million years ago that there was a technology, a civilization with technology similar to our own that ended up destroying themselves somehow. So, and that's scientists, and Wikipedia calls it a thought experiment because, of course, you can't lend credence to an idea that's got some woo-woo in it. But that's what's up. Yeah. So, Daryl, hang tight. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll get right back to you as soon as we come back. So, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're going to be here with Daryl in New York. Once we get back, we're going to take just a quick break, a couple minutes, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way, and Daryl in New York. All right, be right back. Be right back. 2 minutes. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. We're just taking a quick break there and getting back to this. Tonight we're discussing ancient civilizations. And not just that, what about if they existed, what kind of technology might they have had? And some have speculated, even in the scientific community, that if the Silurian hypothesis says this, if let me just read it. I'll probably even the reading it is going to be better than exactly what I'm going to say. The Silurian hypothesis is a thought experiment which assesses modern science's ability to detect evidence of a prior advanced civilization, perhaps even several million years ago. And so, meaning that if there was an advanced ancient civilization, we probably wouldn't even be able to find out if they existed at all. The plate tectonics itself of the Earth over 50 million years would have wiped them out entirely, assuming they went extinct at some point. Or, as maybe Night Stalker described, maybe they went underground. Who knows? Who knows? And maybe they've been here all along. It's hard to say. But yeah, so let's go to good stuff, guys. If you're listening to this and you want to be part of the show, we're taking a phone call still. Considering, like I said, more fascinating to me is not the ancient civilizations themselves. but the fact that they may have had advanced technology. So, Daryl, if you can, go ahead and mute the show. I'll pull you in here. If you can mute the show before you unmute yourself, that'd be fantastic. And then whenever you're ready, hop on in. We're taking your phone calls, guys, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and you can find the Discord link at troubledminds.org. If you haven't joined the Discord, you're missing out. Lots of smart people in there sharing lots of great ideas, almost 24 hours a day. Like I said, we got people listening to this show all over the world and making friends all over the world. Like I said, it is one of those things where they want us to believe that we're all different and we all want different things, when the more true reality is that we kind of probably want a lot of the similar things for ourselves as human beings. Daryl in New York, whenever you're ready, my friend. I saw the mute button come and go. But welcome to the show. Daryl in New York, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Hey, okay. Happy Monday, as good as a Monday can be.
Awesome. Boy, Night Stalker really blows everybody's minds, you know. As he's talking, it's like everything's coming to me like a download. He can give us like these automatic instant downloads. I think we all felt it all of a sudden, the surge of consciousness, of imagination. And it's so stimulating. Just to start with that, I was on the same wavelength as him. As he's talking, I'm like thinking, oh my God, he's like reading my mind practically. Not that he's not brilliant. Well, you know, great minds think alike. What can I say? But I was going to start with something simple, like as far as proof of this, we don't need a lot of proof. I mean, we have Derin Kuyu, like this underground city in Turkey, like that, you know, is underground and fits up to like 20,000 people with like room for their horses. And, you know, why did they build that? What did they know that we don't know? You know, what are they building now that we don't know about? You know, underground bunkers. Something's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon, I'm afraid. The other thing, like we have the obelisks that we can't explain, like how did they make those obelisks? What were they really for? Were they time, you know, measurements? Apparently they can measure the size of the earth and it's pretty accurate, but we don't really know. And how did they build it? It's one piece of stone and it's huge and it's 4,000 tons. And how do they make that, you know? And also like proof of like, again, giants, you know, what are these guys with like 6 fingers and 6 toes, and they have like recurring teeth, like they have these teeth that are beyond their regular teeth that keep growing. Like, what were those people all about? You know, these giants with like red hair, etc. So I think they were pretty smart. But again, going back to like this crystal thing, that they maintain so much data, and I think I think we've always been at the cusp of like making our consciousness, you know, eternal. I think that's our goal, is to try to live forever. And that would be our one way of extending our lives. And these crystals, like we have the technology that they can maintain all of our knowledge, and they can even maintain, you know, ourselves in the future as a hologram or as a, you know, a living thing like Superman's mother or father. But the only thing missing is that link, like a missing link in our civilizations. You know, what was the man's missing link? And maybe the only thing that's missing, it's like something simple, like it's just a simple synapse to get us to be immortal. And we're just missing it, like just by, it could be something with our consciousness that we just have to collectively think it. And it could be so simple, or it could be so simple we just need a little witchcraft, a little bit of magic, you know, to blow on some magic dust, and suddenly we're immortal. You know, suddenly we have all the knowledge of the world. So suddenly we don't have to go to school. All of the knowledge is in a crystal, and we'll be able to download it. And it's just a matter of maybe it's just a matter of more than one person thinking this great stuff together. And before they weaponize it, and you know there's going to be a bad part of this, you know, like there's going to be some bad people that are going to be like, we have to keep them apart because they're going to think something negative, and it can manifest that simply once they have the technology. And we have to separate them and make sure they never meet. You know what I'm saying? Like the Twilight Zone guy, that the little kid that can make people do things that they wouldn't normally do, or that he thinks of bad thoughts and like he'll wish somebody away and make them into a jack-o'-lantern if they annoy him. You know, some kind of kid like that. Like we'd have some kind of a 3D printer. I'm thinking like those 3D printers with a crystal in it, that we could actually just use that technology, and whatever we want to manifest, we just think it into that 3D printer and it'll reactivate.
Right.
That's
so,
kind of
Yeah, that's wild, and so I think that's the thing, right? If you were going to create, and you got to think of it in terms of just like people now and our current technological advancement right now today, it's pretty wild the things that have happened in the past 500 years. But you got to think it's also really the infancy of technology as we know it, and we're talking about like 500 years is like not even an eyelash of a wink of what the universe is capable of. And so if you're thinking about advanced technologies, I think that kind of what you're describing there, it doesn't seem too far-fetched, because you would want knowledge, like we talk about the Library of Alexandria and what a tragedy that was when it burned down, right? Knowledge, if it's based on paper or if it's just in our consciousness and there's no way to save our consciousness, knowledge is lost every time somebody passes away. Knowledge is lost every time a book is burned. Knowledge is lost every time somebody lies to somebody else. And so as a result of all these things, if you were trying to create this Akashic record, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about here, isn't it? Access through some sort of crystal technology. I mean, you wouldn't create a computer to last forever because they don't, right? They end up corroding and all the rest of the stuff and rusting and all the things. So I don't know. I think maybe we're onto something here. I think that this is exactly the type of technology you would expect out of a civilization that was maybe 1 million years advanced from us, which is what we'd be talking about 1 million years ago, isn't it?
Perhaps, but take away the monetary value of a computer. If you don't have to create one that's going to just get destroyed in three evolutions of thought. I mean, how soon are things obsolete here that we have to recreate them, technologically speaking, and that's also a money maker. What if we can make that light bulb that never goes out, that you can't make another one because it just lasts forever? What if we don't have that incentive of money? Money has to change. We have to change our value of money in a certain way that it's not as important as it seems to be today. Maybe those civilizations got over that money thing, that achievement, that it's a moot point. Once we have all that consciousness and knowledge, we won't need to have a monetary system because we're going to be smarter than that. I mean, maybe we'll smart our way out of. Well, I don't think we'll ever smart our way out of war. Like, how do we stop destroying ourselves? And maybe that's in some kind of future computer that got destroyed accidentally. By some kind of we didn't have enough knowledge for that oncoming asteroid or something else, like a black hole that is inevitable that we have to get sucked into, that's going to, destroy civilization, whatever we do, or how do we survive that black hole? How do we get into another portal that will save our technology, that'll save our souls? Do our souls get saved anyway? Maybe our souls are always going to come back and try to manifest itself into something positive, hopefully. It's just a matter of keeping it together and keeping it connected. Maybe we're not strong as one, but we're much stronger as the sum of all totals, supposedly. And we have to keep the good and the evil apart and hopefully conquer the evil part. Something like that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot there, and I think you're right. Like as Robert says, the root of all evil is money, right? I mean, it makes people lie, makes people cheat, makes people steal, makes people murder each other, for crying out loud. I mean, there's an unbelievable amount of just terribleness that comes from it. But you got to think, this is the worst part. It's like, okay, so if we can all agree that money is like just kind of a bad basis for life as humans, sure, fine. But literally, if we're like, okay, governments of the world, fix this. Let's make this so it's not. You know what they're going to do? They're going to just gobble up all the power, right? I mean, we can't even trust our own damn governments to act in our own behalf. So it's like we've literally set up this system against ourselves, and the government's in the way, right? It's unfortunate, but like the second you're like, okay, look. Just give everybody what they need, and like people that got to work, maybe like people are losing jobs and all the rest of this. Like, and again, this is radical, and I'm not saying I believe this or anything, but just off the cuff, an idea: have rotating work schedules, right? Where some people work for 6 weeks and then they're off for 6 weeks, but everybody gets paid the same schedule, right? Like. And so you get a ton of time off. You're still working. You just have all this extra time off to do whatever, to do shows like this, to paint, to create, to be good to each other, to help each other. I mean, it seems Star Trek and utopian and all the rest of this, but the problem is you can't force people, right? Anyway, I'm not trying to solve the problems of society here. I'm just saying that, like, even if we wanted to, even, like we always say, what's the Margaret Mead quote, right? Indeed, the only thing that ever changed the world was a small committed group of citizens, right? And so even if we still have we have the elites that are not part of the government, we have the government that are in league with the elites, we have on and on and on again. It's just I don't know. Like I said, I'm not trying to solve the ills of society. It's just that it seems you're right. Money is the root of all evil, and there's a terribleness here. But I don't know. I don't know.
It seems to perpetuate. I don't know how it keeps surviving or returning. There's some evil force. Even if they could if they could do so much genetically, how come they can't breed out those genetic markers that cause us to have greed and jealousy?
Whoa! You just went all. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it, Daryl, because I'll tell you why. Because then whoever was administering that would decide the traits to phase out, and it could be traits like you and me. It could be people that want to think for themselves. It could be people that are very suspicious of the government. It could be, right? It could be. That's why. That's why. Because you'd have to hand it off to somebody. Exactly.
It could go the other way.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What do you think about this crystal power then? Do you actually have crystals yourself or anything in that capacity?
Something, I would love to have a crystal that would talk to me. That would be the greatest companion. Some beautiful crystal skull that has a lot of knowledge that could keep me company, that has a great entertainment value. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. My computer's decided to go blank. But anyway, I'm glad I'm still here. Yeah, I think it would be great. And these crystals, apparently, if they pick you'll see them. I keep going to these conferences, and I see the crystals, and I'm like, I just want to hear one of them say, Daryl, pick me. It's like a puppy. They're supposedly able to choose you and talk to you, but so far I haven't had that luck of any kind of communication one way. So maybe I need a collective consciousness when I go shopping for a crystal. I'm not sure.
So you don't own any crystals at all, like even little crystal necklace, anything like that?
Oh, I got a couple of pyramids here and there, black. I forget even what it's made out of. It's supposed to protect you from negativity. I've got some amethysts. I got a couple things. I used to wear them. I should probably put them back on.
In these trying times.
I know. We'll do that, trying to pull them back out,
Yeah, it definitely can hurt.
Yeah, right? No, but I think I wish I had crystal power. I wish I had that pyramid power. I'm pretty sure that there's a crystal that is missing from every pyramid that was like a power source. On the top of the pyramid probably had a little crystal that charged up all the spaceships, and it was stolen by the grave diggers. They got everything good, and now we can't figure out how they work anymore. We got to put them back.
We got to put them back. Since they've been stolen, the money is the root of all evil. It broke the Akashic record for the rest of the universe. Unacceptable. Yeah. So interesting. Like there's tons of stuff too. Like some people claim that you take these crystals. I don't know if it's quartz or each one does a different thing, right? And you put it on your pillow, or you hang it by your on your bedside table, hang it on your bedpost, whatever. And it clears that negative energy. It allows you to sleep better. It allows you to dream better, right? This type of stuff. Like I don't know if I'm I don't know if I'm super into it that much, but people say this stuff is real. I've got some crystals myself, but I don't do that with it. Maybe I should.
Well, even the crystals, though, and if people that collect crystals, they're always rotating them, or they're buying new crystals. How come they're always on search of more crystals? Like they get bored with them? Do they wear them out? Somehow I think crystals need something to re-energize themselves, or they just no longer are interesting to the people that own them for some reason. Like, how come they're always buying new crystals? They want to buy more crystals. How many are enough? After a while, is this some kind of drug? I don't know. They're not exactly. I don't know.
God, I hope not. or God, I hope so.
Right.
Right.
I don't know how enduring they are. If they have to be replaced on a small level, maybe those big crystals that maintain that knowledge also have a timeline. They might not last forever, even though they seem to. Maybe in our lifetime they seem to last forever. But as far as the great scheme of things. I mean, how long did it take to make a crystal? Think about that. It's compressed diamonds.
Millions of
it's
years. Yep.
compressed,
Carbon.
So,
yeah.
Exactly. And to make a beautiful crystal, I mean, that's like a perfect thing. But, how long did it take to make that? Nobody has time to make a crystal grow, It's not like watching your eggs or something.
Exactly. And again, back to the technology. If you had a sufficiently advanced technology to embed information into those crystals, what better place? I mean, it's almost impossible. You can't throw them into a fire and melt them. Like most crystals will survive that. The fire will polish the crystal off, and it's still good to go, right? I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense that maybe some of this crystal stuff has some truth to it. We got Matt on the line behind you, and he's actually into crystals, so maybe he can enlighten us a little bit.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly. We'll learn something. So I don't know. What are your final thoughts on this? Ancient civilizations and technology, is that a thing, or are we just chasing our tail?
I think we're the result of it. Maybe, we're the result of an ancient civilization that was more smart than us. Oh, I was going to mention Ollantaytambo. Oh, that was just one of the major marvels of the world. I mean, I was in Peru and I drank from that water from Ollantaytambo. That's near Machu Picchu. I was there as well. But there's such magic going on there. I can't even tell you the magic that happened to me there. And it's got to be something mystical and magical in all of this. Because I got cured of something in Machu Picchu, but the water in Ollantaytambo, it's like 4,000 or more years old. How they make it run up a mountain, and that water is so delicious and cold and clean. It's the purest water I've ever had in my life. I don't think there's even plastic in it. I wonder. I would be curious if it made it there.
Microplastics in Machu Picchu.
Bring your Brita filters. If you
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've heard you tell that story before about drinking that water and how it changed everything for you. That's yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
There's miracles on this earth, and I think we could make the next one. But it could be as simple as just that little synapse between the crystal power and our imaginations could be all it takes to make technology immortal.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Back to consciousness, right? Everything comes down to our consciousness and elevating it and realizing we're not here alone. As much as it seems like we're alone, we're not alone, are we?
Exactly. Well, I'm looking forward to what Matt has to say.
Okay, stay right there, so you don't have to. I'm going to mute you and just leave you right there, so you can listen. You don't unmute. Just mute yourself up, and then let's talk to Matt. Thank you, Daryl in New York. I appreciate the phone call. You're the best. Let's go to Matt in California. We're taking your phone calls, guys. We're talking about crystal power. We're talking about advanced civilizations, and the crystals came about that conversation because it is said by Edgar Cayce and some other mediums that Atlantis actually had an advanced technology built around crystals. So let's go to 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Let's go to Matt in California. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Okay. It's okay for a Monday. What's on your mind, my man?
Calling about ancient civilizations, and I believe, it's like narcissistic, maybe ignorant, or like naive to believe that we are the first, civilization on Earth. As long as the Earth's been around, it kind of makes sense that there would be civilizations before us. And how you're saying that maybe we just lost the evidence. But I want to talk about what's interesting with the Egyptians. And so there's a religion of people called the Druids. You might have heard of them from like D&D. The Druids. And the Druids, they're an ancient, civilization, but they knew a lot of things. They knew about astrology and alchemy. They knew a lot about the earth. And the weird thing is, they didn't write anything down. They translated all their stories orally over the campfires. They told their stories. And so it's kind of funny, like that, that game Telephone, where you tell somebody and they tell somebody it goes down. And so maybe it's like that, how the stories were told, over generations and went down, at the end, you don't get the message. And so it's funny that there's not really much about the Druids that we know, some of their stories, but we don't know a lot about their culture. But then we have the Egyptians, which is funny that Egyptians are older, but like, not only did they not write everything down, they carved this stuff into stone for us, for people like us to see it.
I love it. So knowledge of the ancients, like Kelly always says, he's like that wasn't like, papyrus, that was written in stone. And the term comes from that because you would do that because you want longevity. You want that knowledge, kind of like we're describing. If you were able to embed knowledge in a crystal, right, it would be difficult to get rid of that crystal. It's the same thing with stone. You have to take a hammer and a chisel. You'd have to knock that stone down just to get that knowledge taken off of the wall, right?
Yeah, and so I think they left that there for us to show like there was a civilization. How many years ago that was? It wasn't just a book that could be burned or, something that could have been destroyed by time.
Yeah, that's amazing, and it makes sense. And not only that, the weird thing about the Egyptians too is it seems like they weren't living for just a lifetime, right? They were living for eternity. Like that seems to be the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and why they mummified the pharaohs and all the rest of this, and why even they're discovering more recently too that not just pharaohs were mummified and put into those all this, the hook and the brain and all that stuff and the vessels, and remove their organs and that whole bit. That even upper class citizens were paying to have that done to them when they passed away, and then just kind of jammed off into a side spot, kind of near a pharaoh's tomb sort of situation. And so people were paying for immortality. And so it's weird, like when you describe it like that, they were putting it down for not just themselves, but for whoever may come after for thousands of years, however long that stone lasted. But then also, the weirdness with the Egyptians is they were putting themselves in those mummification situations to preserve their body, their soul, their spirit, their DNA for as long as possible. Because we talk about it now, right? If you pass away or whatever, just before you pass away, can you freeze yourself and be brought back, when the technology is sufficient? Well, what if that's what they were doing just with their mummification process?
Yeah, and with the Egyptians too, I want to talk about Thoth, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Thoth, he was a mortal, a god, and he carved the information into the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and they're Emerald Tablets. But he somehow used alchemy to forge them to where they cannot be changed. So those tablets, the Emerald Tablets, cannot be destroyed. And it talks about how Thoth, he's actually from Atlantis. He came from Atlantis, and in the book, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it talks about how Thoth he had a craft that he could fly, and he flew it, and it crash landed, and they lost their technology. Something happened, it broke, and so they buried it. And then they built the Sphinx on top of it as a marker, so that they can come back to it later and find their broken ship to fix it. And so those stories, of course, they're stories, but it's interesting that these stories are so old. Atlantis, so long ago. It's not as long ago as what we're talking about tonight, as some of the stories, how many long ago an ancient civilization could have existed. But that is interesting to me. It shows that they had technology, and I wouldn't say advanced compared to ours, but they had some sort of technology where he could fly a ship.
Yeah, and I think that the story goes that they put it under the Sphinx, right? Like his ship is waiting under the Sphinx to be found.
Yeah, it was like a marker. So the Sphinx was the marker for where the ship was buried.
Yeah,
in the ancient tablets of Thoth.
Exactly, and notably, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, so Thoth was known as Thoth the Atlantean, and he was an alchemist. And Derek said, alchemists like Kemet, Kemet, which is an ancient Egyptian civilization pre-Egyptian. And so, again, they're saying that that same lineage, I mean, I've looked into some of that a little bit, so I knew what he was talking about when he brought up Kemet there. But they say that it exists still. Like the civilization of Kemet is still the United States, right? And some of the same colors and the eagle and all the rest of the stuff and the emblem. Anyway, that's a whole other show, a whole other topic, a whole other time. But it's just strange that, again, Thoth the Atlantean, Kemet the alchemist, we have this weird synchronicity and he's from Atlantis, which is what we're talking about tonight. Crazy, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe there's an ancient civilization for sure. And one thing, maybe we don't have the evidence, the actual physical evidence, but I think this is why we need to look towards what we were talking about, the Akashic records. Maybe the evidence is in that.
Yeah, well, and then how do we access it? I think that's the only question, right? I mean, some
Yeah.
people have, I think more people would probably agree that something like the Akashic record exists, but then like the technological divide between us and it, at least just purely technology-wise, is so far that I think it's not that. You know how people say your mind is the Stargate? I think we're missing the forest for the trees, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like. So can you tell us, actually, I know you're... sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You
I just think maybe it's more simple than we think. You go ahead.
Okay, so I was just going to ask you, so you are the person I know that's into crystals, right, that calls in often. You want to touch on crystals a little bit, on the crystal power? Like you said in the chat there, the crystals choose you. Daryl had a question. She wanted to know, how come people are always getting newer, different crystals, or changing them out, or moving them around the house, or things like this? Can you answer some of those questions for us?
Yeah, I didn't want to make it a show about crystals.
It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have. Okay, another show. Yeah.
But I see where you're going with it. We're talking about ancient civilizations tonight, and so we're talking about Atlantis. And Atlantis, it said that they did have some sort of crystal power.
Exactly.
And so, real quick, my belief on crystals is, how I believe is that everything has a spirit. So every blade of grass, every rock, every tree, every animal, of course, has a spirit. And so that's what I'm working with, is the stone spirits. And so each individual crystal, each rock has its own spirit. And so, yeah, these rocks, they're made in the earth, the forge of the earth, over however many thousands of years, time and pressure and heat, right, you say? And so these rocks, they have ancient, mysteries in them, and it's up to us, the humans, to unlock that power. And so I think about it is that if they're a spirit, I think that it's like, you have to, befriend them, become friends with them, just like a person. You respect the person, they'll respect you. You honor, and honor them as like ancestors, and work with them. And so, an analogy I kind of like to make, I'm just going to throw this out here, an analogy to like help you explain is, okay, think about like any musical instrument, like a guitar, for example. So like a guitar is an inanimate object. It's wood, strings, components, metal and electronic components. A guitar by itself is just a guitar. But like it's not until the human picks up the guitar and interacts with it that makes the instrument sing, that we love, makes the thing we love called music. And so if you have your musical instrument, for example, the guitar, you have that guitar, and over time you'll start to realize that guitar, you will have like an intimate kind of relationship with it.
Yes.
And other people might pick up your guitar and not feel it, or you might pick up a new guitar and not feel what you feel. So it's kind of like going back to crystals. I know that was kind of out there.
No, it's spot on.
Just an analogy trying to help you understand.
No,
if you got that.
I'm picking you up
exactly. Back to crystals.
Yeah, go back to crystals. Go ahead.
If you go back to crystals, it's like that. You work with the spirits. You work with them, and you help them, and they help you. They'll you get the benefits from them, and each crystal has its own, vibration, its own what it does. And so I think that's what it's about. And so a lot of people nowadays, there's this thing coming out, the new age. They call it the new age, And I make fun of it because this technology, or this knowledge, has been around for thousands of years. But you've noticed, like, these places that want to make money, they sell their crystals because they see, like, the stores in the mall, and they're like, oh, we see that we can make a profit, so they, make these crystals, like, cheaply, and they sell them. But that's not the point. Anyways, back to crystals. Those crystals might not work for you. So I was saying you got to go find your own crystals. You got to go to the rock shop or to a place where maybe you can mine crystals and get your own.
So
and if you're into it, you get your get your research, like what you want to do. So like if you want to heal, you want to look for healing crystals. If you want to ground yourself, you look for grounding crystals. If you want to increase your psychic awareness, you look for those crystals. And then you go to the crystal shop or the rock shop and you ask those people, they know. And you just kind of start collecting them. And it is, it's an expensive hobby.
Yeah, it is.
So let them come to you. They'll come to you when the time is right.
So you're saying that the crystal selects you, and so there's a symbiosis of person to crystal, and that's why people are always kind of changing them out, moving them. Let's say that a particular crystal you put in the windowsill for when you're doing dishes, right, to kind of cleanse negative energy or whatever, right, to kind of just, is like your moment of peace to kind of do your thing. But then, right, for some reason that crystal isn't vibing, so you move it, right, and you maybe put it in the garden, something like this. So something like this it's like a process kind of always ongoing is why all that's happening.
Yeah, and there's actually stories of if you and that crystal don't vibe together, there's stories of the crystal will leave. Like the crystal will disappear or maybe break, and it's to go find a new owner that will get the benefits from it.
Interesting.
But
So it'll get stolen.
The crystal will come to you. Yeah.
It'll be like the One Ring. Sorry, go ahead. I got a great analogy. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, it'll be like the One Ring, right? Like if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings, like the ring tumbled out of off of Gollum's finger, and it shone brightly so Bilbo could pick it up. It intentionally wanted to get stolen so it could get back to its master, right? Mm-hmm. So that the crystal will gleam just so your friend, when they come by in your house, they just snatch it from the windowsill. It's calling out to be stolen.
It's like with me. Yeah, it's like with me. I'm into crystals and stuff, so I want to collect them all, right? Because a lot of people, you ask them, like, why do you collect crystals? And most people will say, well, they're pretty. And I agree, they are very pretty. I like that. And some people will say, I want all the good vibes, all the good juju, right? Yeah. And so that's also awesome, right? But then with me, I was collecting all these crystals, and I came across this crystal called malachite. It's a green crystal with like lots of dark greens and stuff in it, and just for some reason, I don't know what I think it's really pretty. Like I like the look of it, but for some reason, me and that crystal like does not get along. We just don't vibe. But my wife likes them, so my wife has the malachite crystal collection. I'm not allowed to touch them. Just because, like I said, just something it doesn't work. It just doesn't vibe with my aura. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Like I said, with crystals, I don't want to make this. I don't want to make the crystal show.
It's okay. Well, again, it fits though. It fits the conversation because again, back to Atlantis, and they say there was some sort of crystal technology, and we're talking about ancient civilizations. I think it's perfect. I think it's exactly this is sort of the conversation I wanted to have, except I didn't have the knowledge to have it. I know what malachite is though. That you're right. That nice green swirly. That's beautiful. like I think that's when you said malachite, the color green popped into my head. I know my crystals a little bit. I know a little bit enough. I know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to have an intelligent conversation about it. But yeah, good stuff. I said, that's a whole show. Yeah, a whole different show. Yeah, totally. Okay, so what else, my man? As always, fantastic stuff from you. Anything else while we got you on the phone here?
No, I'm wondering where Kelly's at.
Damn it, Kelly! Where the hell are you at, Kelly? All good, man. All good.
Just Kelly's episode.
Kelly's allowed to take a night off now and then. All good. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Kelly says,
I just think he knows a lot. He knows a lot about the ancient stuff. So he always has good stuff. But that's what I was going with that the ancient technology. The ancient civilization. I believe that it's possible that there's civilizations that we can't out there that maybe we can't even fathom because the evidence is gone.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. Kelly's in the in Rockfin chat. He says people buy different crystals for different reasons. There you go. So he's out there listening. He heard us. Yeah, fantastic stuff, man. He's like I said, he's allowed to take a night off now and then. Matt, you are amazing, my friend. Amazing. I appreciate the call, and as always, thank you for listening. There we go. Kelly just popped in, so you get your answer. We'll talk to Kelly in just a sec. Thanks, Matt. You're the best. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Okay.
Good night.
Thanks, brother. You too. There we go. All right. So we're taking your phone calls. We're talking about ancient civilizations. And specifically now we've kind of got into Atlantis and that crystal power and that whole bit as it goes. What does it mean? Is it, again, right, kind of like we described with Daryl and Night Stalker there, is this one of those situations where maybe the power of the ancients is embedded in maybe this crystal technology and we haven't been able to unlock it just yet? I don't know. Whenever you're ready, Kelly, you're welcome. And we're going to go to Kelly in Colorado. And exactly like as requested, summon him and he will come. What's up, Kelly? How are you, my man?
What's going on, man?
Just chilling, talking about fun stuff, man. You know the deal. I'm not sure how long you've been listening, but we went all the way back to Kemet and even the Anunnaki, tickled that a little bit, talking about all kinds of stuff. And now we're on to crystals. I'm not sure how much you heard, but you're welcome to jump in wherever you like.
I probably caught the last part of it, but yeah. I don't know, from the beginning of the reading of it, just about ancient civilizations, if we could detect it. I mean, yeah, if I'm pretty sure if there was like a civilization kind of like ours, if you go back in time, you know what I mean? But even for our civilization, we could have went two different ways. We probably didn't have to go with all this industrial civilization. Yes, in some cases, or in some instances, yes. But like if we're talking about, if we went the way of Tesla back in the the early 1900s, we probably would have flying cars and whatnot. We probably wouldn't have as much as the industrial revolution as we would think. I mean, yes, for building material and for like metals and stuff, but even like with the crystals, like even this we even going using crystals, because crystals are there's all different types of crystals, different the way they grow, the way they're produced and everything, I mean, just how it's made, by itself. But the thing about it is that, if crystals have been known to use to amplify, any type of energies, really. And so when people buy crystals, like, they have the quartz crystal, which is kind of actually, that's the main one that actually amplifies, a lot of energy. But, some other ones, depends on what you want to use a crystal for, and there's many different types. And like I said before, so, the reason why people buy different crystals, like I have a ton of different crystals. And he's correct that, it's not a cheap, it's not a cheap habit to have, but, there's different shapes, you can have the towers, you have spheres. We have all of them. We have all different types, and there's different types that you can use, it depends on what you want to accomplish. And again, this goes to what people would, call back in the day, that's what they, back in the ancient time, they would call like, witchcraft or something. But this is the stuff that like the ancient peoples have known. Even like in Mexico, some of the, if it wasn't made with crystal, it was like with silicon. You have all this, that flaky stuff that, that they put in computers and shit. That's like, all that shit was made all even like in Mexico, the three different type of pyramids that they had. Egypt is they got the same kind. The rocks they made it with. You know what I mean? It's not all just granite. You know what I mean? They used the different materials that they had out there. But yes, a lot of that stuff is conductors of higher power or higher electricity or energy. And that's, of course, that's why, you see all those, like the spheres kind of shape, you know what I mean? That's why, what's kind of interesting is all these other countries, right? All these countries that's supposed to be of power, they have these obelisks everywhere, everyone. And then some of them actually even took the obelisk, like over in the Vatican, they took some obelisks from Egypt. Not just that they, some of these, like you see some in, I think France, obviously in DC, but they actually made those. But what the Vatican did is they actually took that shit. You know what I mean? And some of these things, like they use that, the red granite or the pink granite. Some of these ones are like, and sometimes, they don't always have to be that shape, but the point, you get some different ones that are like in India, they're more of a, kind of they're obelisk shape, but they have a different, the tip is maybe round, or they got some kind of like a bubble up on top or something. Yeah, but yeah, it's an interesting thing to get into with, the different type of crystals that people, that civilizations have used back then. It's just now that, we're supposed to be catching up, with our technology, finding some of this stuff, because science has been messing around with crystals for a while, and they amplify, like I said, that's some of the stuff that they were using, like some of the radar systems that we first created. And even still to now, I believe now that we still, they still use that type of crystal.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that people have been into it for a long time, and even the government, right? They've been doing remote viewing and all kinds of weird shit too. So that doesn't surprise me a single bit. It is interesting. So Matt was saying that he believes that crystals have sort of their own consciousness, their own reality about them, and that actually goes into a philosophical thing called. What's that called? Damn it! Where everything has its own consciousness. It'll come to me in a sec. There's a term for it. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it's a thing. Like people suggest that the universe itself is conscious from end to end, and we're just we are sort of reconciling that. We're like the top of the food chain and are only in our own mind, and everything else is also doing its own thing with its own consciousness. God, I can't remember the name of that, but yeah. Anyway, so good stuff here. Always, Kelly, bringing some spitting hot fire here. So what about the ancient civilizations? And like we were talking about Egypt, Kemet, all the rest of this. How far do you think back it goes? So basically, the premise is this, right? So with ancient civilizations, they had advanced technology. So the theory goes, and if they did, how we wouldn't even know. It would have been wiped from the earth just because of normal geological processes, and that's what scientists are saying. So I don't know how far back do you think this actually goes? Like we're talking about 4 billion years. They estimate the Earth is old, 4.5 billion, something like that. That's a lot of time to have super volcanoes smudge out civilizations on Earth, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I proceed to go to like two different directions with that, because if we go by just, let's say, okay, with the Anunnaki, well, not even Anunnaki, the Sumerian stories about the Anunnaki, right? You have the ancient, you have the, I say for myself anyway, I believe that human civilization and civilizations that have been here millions of years. Like all this bullshit that mainstream science was trying to say that, their time frames, I don't believe it. Because even like now you see footprints along with dinosaurs. And then you have like the Peruvian, they have these, in Peru, they have these these big rocks, right? And these rocks are, showing like fucking people riding on top of dinosaurs and shit. You know what I mean? They show actually heart transplants, and they're doing major surgeries and shit. With these Peruvian rocks, right? But like, yeah, you have footprints along dinosaurs and stuff. You know what I mean? You have some of these ancient temples that, if they think that they didn't even know. If they go by their time frame, man, and that time frame with dinosaurs, it was millions. There's like millions of time frame behind it. I'm not here to try to compare that, but it's kind of interesting that you find all that stuff. But the thing is, for me, is through like okay, we'll go with the Sumerian kings list. I mean, there was talking about people that were ruling over the planet Earth, right? And this is way after. We're talking even thousands of years after, like Enki and Enlil, like the original ones that came here. And the Sumerian king list go back hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, these rulers, sometimes, some of these rulers, if their ages are correct and these things are correct, they're saying that they were ruling for like 30,000 years, 40,000 years. Two twin brothers that ruled over for like 102,000 years. So if you go by this and like that's those type stories, and then you have, because it's before Egypt, and even Egypt is old. That's way older. And my belief is that even like the 100,000 years, it's just barely scratching the surface. I mean, those things been there for. I mean, if you look at the pyramids, and you're saying that geologically and atmospherically that's been a desert for how many thousands of years? But yet, if you look at it, it looks like the erosion from that has, from either, flooding or either major rain at the time, that they're going back. Because even science through through some of their new technology, they can look at the ground scanning and shit. They said that, some of the parts of the desert, there was just thousands of trees. Like, that it was like the whole Garden of Eden and everything too, where it was all desert. Like at one time, it was lush. The planet was very lush. I mean, this planet's been going through changes, for millions of years. So to try and even say that, I mean, even if we go by, like I said, we go by the Anunnaki story. This planet was something else before it was even Earth. It was another planet called, I can't remember right now. What was it? Tiamat, right? So Tiamat got destroyed. Yeah, so Tiamat got destroyed, and so who knows if there was even more civilizations on that, and what type of animals or creatures were on that planet before, that might have even survived something like that. I'm not saying it could have. I mean, the atmosphere could have been ripped off or something, and hold something, that they could, to create life, to redo it again. That's just something that's kind of mind blowing. But yeah, I mean, like Matt was saying even too, when with Thoth and stuff. Like Thoth is like he was from Atlantis. You know what I mean? And it was even in Egypt they talk about it. It's called the land before the time before Egypt, which is God, I was just talking about it. Yeah, I'm losing.
Isn't that Kemet?
Here.
Is that Kemet? What is that?
Oh no, the land of Kemet is Egypt itself. And Kemet, the original people don't know, the original name for Kemet is the land of the black. So that's why there's a whole, thing about it too. Is like all the Egyptians at one time, they were black people, and that's where they called it the land of Kem, or Kemet is what it was. But the land of Kem is when they were with Thoth, when he brought it here, it was the land of Kem is when they were doing alchemy and stuff, right? So Zep-Tepi was what it was called. The time of Zep-Tepi is the time before Egypt, and there's other gods. There's like 5 other supposedly, the pantheon of gods that came from there. That was the time before of Kemet, or the time before Zep-Tepi. Thoth was one of them, and I believe Horus was one. There was a couple of them. I can't remember. There was like 5 of them from the pantheon that came. That was the time before Egypt, and that time is way before even, you know what I mean? These type of civilizations, some of the ones they were talking about, even with the Sumerian, they were saying that there was places on Earth, you know, that because they all divvied it up and, you know, they had their own creation of humans and whatnot, but there was some parts of Earth that the only, like, Sumerians could go, you know what I mean? Or the Anunnaki could go, not the Sumerians, but the Anunnaki. And they're the only, and so what's interesting is, like, you know, we don't know anything about Antarctic, you know what I mean? And all these, you hear all these stories about, you know, even crystal temple or crystal pyramids or whatever, or even a crystal pyramid underneath Bermuda Triangle. I mean, I don't know, man. We'll have to see. You kind of just sit and wait. But the whole thing with Toph too is the reason why, you know, underneath the Sphinx, right? He's got in the Emerald Tablets, he talks about he's got a ship there. And that's where he says that there's going to be somebody, he doesn't really say, he just says there's something coming from the deep, you know, deep part of space that's going to come here and to call upon his ship to easily defeat this enemy that comes from deep part of space. And that's the trippy part. And that, you know, even like someone commented in some of this, you know, in some of the comments, they were saying that, you know, they don't even allow you to dig underneath. You know, even there's passages ways that they even blocked to even get inside of the Sphinx. That's what's the interesting part too.
Yeah, we talked about that way back. Kelly called in when we did Frank and I did a show way back on the Giza Plateau. And we were talking, that's when actually you introduced us to the Emerald Tablets, matter of fact. So yeah, I mean, these are, again, right, like we always say, nothing new under the sun, all this, but still, it seems like a lot of this seems to be swept under the rug, right? It's sort of, it's inconvenient, right? It's like, if it doesn't fit the narrative. Notice how too archaeologically, I got a friend that works in archaeology, and he's telling me, he's like, look, every time they find something they don't know what the fuck it is, they're like, oh yeah, it's a ritual object. But they don't fucking know. It's just what they call it when they don't know what it is. he's like, it's stupid. It's just as stupid, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, it's something like that too, you know, it's like a ritual or something. So it's just kind of like what they're saying, you know, like if you see a UFO, you know, it's swamp gas or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Or like, for me too, you know, like I have a big deal about this, and you see it like on, you know, when we in Discord, is all these rocket launches. You know, everybody's a fucking rocket launch, and it's been, I mean, NASA just sent up 2 of them, you know, back to back. You know, China did too. I mean, India. I mean, this has been like in the last, if you go back within this last month, and everybody's saying they're launching fucking the satellites. I don't believe the shit. You can't. It's impossible. I mean, this shit, you wouldn't even see the fucking sun and how many goddamn satellites.
Right.
You know, that's around the sun. I mean, the Earth, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's something else going on they're not telling us. That's for sure. We're launching all these damn rockets. Like Tim says too. Tinfoil Timothy there. Tim in Georgia. He's like, what the fuck, people? Like, we've been launching rockets since the 50s. Why are we still launching rockets? Don't you think we'd be past that by now? Apparently not. Apparently not. Yes, thumbs up. Where's our flying car, Kelly? This is bullshit.
Yeah, man. Fuck it. I'm telling you, if we went with Tesla, like I was talking earlier, if we went with Tesla, we would already be in that shit already. We would have a power source that you wouldn't even need any fucking nuclear power. You wouldn't even, like, all this bullshit that you see strung around the whole planet with fucking these wires that they're saying that need to fucking force your energy to you. You didn't even need that shit. They had the Tesla tower that they were just drawing energy out of the ionosphere, which is pure energy, and they just send that shit to you like a little Wi-Fi box on your house. That's exactly what everything is hooked up nowadays, you know, but I don't know, man. It's always something else, you know what I mean? And so this is where you would say that if we were going to go try to find another civilization in this type of industrial complex, yes, I'm pretty sure you could, you know, it'd be easily be detectable because fuck, they're destroying their planet like we're doing ours, you know? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactamundo. Spot on as always, Kelly. You're the best. Anything else while we got you on? Let's wind this sucker down. I don't know if we got Jay for the J-tro here, but we're a little bit over. Let's wrap this sucker up.
All right, man. No, that was it, man. I just wanted to give a call and
Yeah,
always on the third out.
Kelly.
I got that sailor tongue.
Kelly, you're fine. You were summoned. When you're summoned, man, you have to come. It's like the genie.
Yeah, I'd have popped right up.
I appreciate it. You're the best. Kelly in Colorado, we could have a beer one day. Let me know when you're out my neck of the woods. I'll do the same when I've headed your way, okay?
All right, bro.
Thanks, brother. Have a great night. I appreciate it. All right, let's go to Jay. Jay, New York. Actually, let's leave Kelly in there so we can listen to the rest of this. Jay, welcome to the show. What's up, my friend? How's
it going?
Hey, okay. Talking about weird shit like we do, man. Yeah, it's okay for Monday.
It amazes me how Kelly can remember all of these names and places and everything else like that. I mean, it's like a steel trap he's got up there. It's all this ancient knowledge that's running around in his head. It's amazing to hear that. But, there's so much stuff to hit on the crystals. This has been probably maybe even a year ago. There's a company in Germany that's they can put like the entire Bible in a crystal, like the size of the head of a pin. How much knowledge is stored in crystals? And it's like, you have to have that to get out of it, Like, do we get it out of ourselves? Do you need the computer? How do we read it? How do we get all that knowledge out of there? I don't know, and then ancient civilizations on top of that. I remember reading just a couple of weeks ago that like Nebraska or something like that, they found like a thriving Native American Indian, like mega city that, out there right under the ground and no one ever knew it. How many cities have we built on top of all that stuff and now that knowledge is lost for good,
Yeah, and I think that's it. Again, just to address this, Rock Lobster says, I was told to call a couple months ago. This doesn't sound like tonight. Crystals are stupid. My point about that in particular is this is about ancient civilizations. It's not about crystals. I took it there because it fascinates me that some of the mediums described Atlantis as their actual advanced technology being crystal-based. And again, you want me to read that thing? It's mind-blowing. What they're saying is that it's not just like an electronic or electromagnetic, or it's more like a consciousness-based technology that's has something to do with crystals. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't know. Like I said, I've got some myself. I don't hang them by my bed or have any ritual thing I do with it. I have them because they're nice, and I got some little pyramids, and that's it, right? But just point being is that it doesn't have to be about that. There's like literally. That's why we do this, by the way. We do it open-ended, non-linear. So if you call, there's 10 different ways you could take it. So just FYI, just address in the chat there. Sorry, Jay. Go ahead, man. So let me ask you before you get into the rest of it, do you own any crystals, Jay?
Yeah, I do. Lots. When I was in college, we used to drive quite a distance to go to the rock store to, yes, like everybody else said so far, partake in the very expensive habit.
Yeah. Well, they're not that expensive, actually, if you get them from the right places. Just FYI.
It depends on what you want to, and how clear they are and everything else like that. I've told you guys stories about Ohio before and stuff. There was a place where you could go and you could see them laying on the ground. They were just everywhere. They're just regular quartz crystals, clear quartz crystals. But what would happen is people would go in there with a rock hammer and stuff like that and smash them all up and then drive them to the rock store and they would sell them.
That's rough. That's rough.
Well, some of the bases of those things and stuff like that, you would see the really old ones and stuff like that. It was a place called Flint Ridge where they arrowheads and axes and stuff like that. They would actually, the stone part of it would come from. But you could see like the bases, and some of them were like, I'd say 3 or 4 inches across. They were huge, but God only knows how long they've been gone. But that was the same thing too. That whole area there was a thriving area of trade and everything else like that for thousands and thousands of years. The Indian mounds are there that nobody really has any idea what they're there for. How many of the little pieces of knowledge got plowed under the field? New York City was a thriving, Indian population there. How much did they throw away underneath all the skyscrapers?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. You got to consider like not just that. So imagine like you look at the lost city of Troy, right, on the shores in Turkey. They think they found Troy, except right, it's been built over like 10 times. So it's like it's the same thing, right? It's like even the history we have, us ourselves destroy it. Like you said, like you described, building skyscrapers on shit. Like there was history there, but well, now there's a skyscraper. So good game history.
Well, I mean, yeah, they mashed up all those rocks. I mean, they say that, the outside of the pyramids were covered with limestone. Well, where the hell did it all go? Is that what the buildings in Cairo are made out of now? They cut them again. I think that's one of the things, we lose our history, and I think conversations like this are awesome because we talk about it. And, Chris, you got people like Kelly coming in and get months worth of research to do in a 20-minute conversation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, it is what it is. It's cool. It's like we said, what's that? I don't know what the thing is. I'll find the quote. I need to pin this because it comes up from time to time. I need to pull this quote, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Like we're I mean, we're people too. We're conscious. And I remember the thing. It's called Matt. I misrepresented what he said, but panpsychism is what the theory that everything in the universe has consciousness, whether it's a chair or a rock or this or that. That's panpsychism. It came to me finally, like 20 minutes later. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be true. I mean, you feel when you walk in the woods, there's an energy there. It's all. I mean, I can see where you were going with the, Atlantis all being about the energy and the crystals, and maybe that was their way of channeling it. They knew something that we don't. That just got written out. It was too much to put when it started up the printing press. Let's leave that chapter out.
Yeah, I think that's the weirdness. Like I said, and this is the thing, guys. This is the thing. So these conversations, I start them, and they're wide. They're like wide berth, lots of different ways, open-ended, either way, however you want to take it. But the reason I talk about the things I do is if nobody calls, I'll talk about the things that fascinate me. And that's how we got the crystals. So I'll take the blame for that. Because you see, it's not just about the crystal, crystal powers, negative energy, that type of stuff. If we go back to this thing that I was reading about here we go. That poser system, let me read this again. They're talking about crystalline light into a conductive earth currents to raise the frequency into a semi-aware electromagnetic plasmic field of benevolent energy capable of retaining spiritual frequencies. You understand? So that's not just simple like buy a crystal and put it in the windowsill. Like that's literally next level holy shit type stuff. And that's why I was fascinated by it, because it's not just a normal like first level crystal shit. That's like level 100 like super pro crystal stuff. No boy.
Yeah, the right full moon, burying it facing north, exactly. Surrounded by all the other crystals.
Exactly. Yeah, and they're talking to each other.
And the right kind of sand.
Exactly. All right, we got a phone call.
Get to jump to Mars in 2 seconds.
Exactly. So Jay, don't go anywhere. We're going to do the outro and hear your takes on this. We got a phone call. Let's go to this real quick. We'll do it with you, and then we'll continue trucking with you. Okay? You got time? You all okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Rock Lobster. What's up? Thanks for calling. First time caller. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm just curious about the whole crystal thing. I don't know why it's at the end of the day.
Sure. What do you mean? Do you have something to tell us, or do you have a question for me?
Well, I'm just wondering if, like, what the need is, like, what crystals have to do with anything other than people wanting to believe, like, in crystals. Like, I mean, there's better things to believe in than crystals, right? Like, crystals aren't going to save the world.
No, you're right. Of course.
And if they could, and if they could, we're not going to get them. You know what I mean? If the crystals are being hidden and they're the big superpower thing, nobody's getting crystals if they're magical.
I got it. I'm with you. I am in tune with what you're saying. You are a cynical mind like me, and that's okay, because I am. That's what I am. My base level is exactly what you're saying. But wait, though. What about, again, like I said, this is not about what I want to talk about. This show is about what you want to talk about. Jay, can you hear him, by the way?
I can. Good.
Perfect. Okay. So go ahead. No, it's okay. So any of the things we're talking about tonight.
You set me up here. You set me up for like a two-way here.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. You're here with Jay too. You're here with Jay. Okay. So look, this is the thing. This is the thing. I just want you to understand that when you call into this show, I'm not going to kick you off because you're like off topic. Okay. Like if we're talking about one thing in particular and you literally go 180, I'll keep you short. But if you want to talk about whatever in the periphery of the entire conversation, you're welcome to. What's on your mind, my friend? You don't have to talk about crystals.
Yeah, but it's all good. Is the other guy on the line still, and I'm going to have to talk to him?
Yeah, he's here listening.
He wants to talk about crystals, right?
No. He's here listening.
Let's hear what he has to say about crystals. No, let's listen to him. Okay, let's deal with him first, and we'll put that out of the way.
No. I went to you because you're on the phone line. The phone line costs me money. Phone line people go first. Discord goes next. So you're up, my friend. You go first. So just what are your thoughts on the entire thing? You had some thoughts on crystals. You're like, why crystals? Who cares? That's fine. So what else? What about ancient civilizations? What about the theory that we?
So why do you got the crystal guy? Why do you got the crystal guy back on? Still on the phone?
What are you talking, dude? It's the end. Okay, I'll explain. This show goes for approximately 3 hours, and we're overtime right now. And Jay usually comes on at the end to do the outro. So you called at the end of the show.
Okay.
So that's what's going on. So I didn't leave him on.
How about ghosts? How about ghosts then? How about ghosts? I don't want to see a ghost, and if I saw a ghost, I would not tell anybody I saw a ghost. But to believe in ghosts, if you saw a ghost, you wouldn't want to tell people because it would scare the hell out of you.
Okay.
So I think a lot of ghost stories made. I think ghost stories are made from people that want a feeling of like they're either they don't know, and you just need attention. If you saw a ghost, you probably wouldn't be alive. You'd probably kill yourself. You'd be like, holy shit, I saw a ghost, and you wouldn't tell people. I don't know. It's the end of the show.
Yeah, it's all good. But listen, this is the point. I just want you to understand that that's what was going on. So I'm not going to kick Jay off because you called. We're at the end. But I want your thoughts. It's okay. Like that's what Jay's a patient guy. That's why I asked him.
But I don't know what you want my thoughts on because I've got a thought on everything, and just ask me a question, and I'll tell you I'll tell you what I think on anything.
Let's do that. Can you do me a favor? My name's Mike. What's your first name? Because Rock Lobster seems weird.
It's Ross.
Russ. All right, Russ. Now look, what about ancient civilizations? Do you think that it's possible that we have this long cycle, like the Mayan calendar, the Bakhtuns and all that possibly 1 million years ago or something, there was an equally or even greater advanced civilization than us that somehow wiped themselves off the face of the earth? That's really the conversation tonight.
Well, okay. Well, if they did, for one, I think they would need metal to probably do that, which would be easy to find, and we don't see that. I don't think they'd be building rocket. I don't think they'd be building rocket ships with stone, and you know what I mean. So that's not happening. If they're building titanium, you need metal to go into space. So people don't fly around in rocket ships.
Wait, hold on though. Wait. I got you. What you're saying, I understand. So let me ask you this question then. So what do you think? Let's say New York City. If civilization today ended, God forbid, of course, I'm not hoping for that. Just for example, what do you think New York City would look like in 1 million years? You think there'd be anything there at all, or would it be jungle overgrown?
Probably not, because what would happen is there's only like a 0.0002% of the people who actually think about the future. Most people just wander around and they think they're not investing in the future. They're all about themselves. It's a selfish society, and it'll disappear. And the people that make the stuff that can last don't get the support because nobody's as smart. People don't want to put the effort in to be as smart as they are. They just being stupid. It's easy. And not knowing and pretending and thinking you're a part of something that you're like. It takes work.
I'm
actually.
Confused.
It takes work. It takes work to put yourself into
Into what?
Okay, go on.
Well, I'm confused at your point. I asked you a question, and you said something completely different. What happens to New York?
No, I don't know. No, it won't be there. It won't be there. It'll be all
be there at all. It'll literally be mounds that look like Ohio with overgrown forest, right? That's what it'll look like, if we're being real.
But you know why? It'll be like that? It's because people aren't people aren't looking for the future. They're not a part of the greater good. People are, their selfishness and their need to be important is more important than helping the society. You know what I mean? Like people should stop having kids. Kids, it's a selfish act. It's.
Are you serious? People should stop having kids. What do you think society would look like in 1,000 years?
If you live in a trailer park and you work at Walmart, you're not, just because you use a recycling bag doesn't mean you're part of the solution.
Okay, so okay, all right. I don't know how we got here, but you made a statement that makes me slightly uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, here we go.
What do you mean? Here we go. So who?
I'm just saying.
Who made the statement? So who decides who's valuable to society?
I'm just saying the greater good is less important.
Okay, I'm confused. I'm confused how we got here. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight. The greater good.
New York won't be there because New York can't sustain itself. It's not a viable city. They need everything imported. It's a big pile of people living in a city that can't look after itself. So it won't be there because society can't handle big monster cities that can't feed themselves.
Okay.
The power goes out. A solar flare goes off. You don't think people are going to go nuts and like it's just going to be a disaster.
No, it's going to be Stone Age. People are going to be eating each other, obviously. But still, I'm still struggling.
But the people that know are also in New York. There are people that have the technology to have the technology that we all rely on. But they're going to get all wiped out by all the nuts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people don't look after the smart people because everybody's smart. Everybody's so smart.
Well, okay, I guess. I disagree.
It's hard to admit. Like, you think everybody's smart? People,
of course not.
Stupid people think they're smart. Like,
hold on, though. Wait, but is everybody dumb? Is everybody dumb?
Well, if they don't realize how the world works, and they don't, you know what I mean? They got an opinion that, like, they don't realize that their grandparents were 100 years ago, and they think they matter. Like that's how cults and stuff happen. People don't realize it's all about the greater good. It's about the future, and to think that. And to think what they do is actually like beneficial to the humanity is the downfall of humanity.
I'm not even sure who humanity. Wait. You need to clarify. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about society in general? Are you talking about me? Or what are you talking about? Are you talking about this show? What are you talking about?
No. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking. No, I'm just joking. But encouraging people to vent their belief of like stupid beliefs, you know what I mean? You should kind of like knock them a bit and say, hey.
So you're talking about me. So you're talking about me. You just don't want to say you're talking about me.
No, because you're one of the smart ones. You know what you're doing.
Well, what am I doing? What am I doing?
People that fall.
Explain it to me. What am I doing?
Well, you're smart enough to know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You're making a living off of.
No, I'm not.
Talking to people, and I got.
No, I'm not.
Hey, you know what?
No,
but you're smart enough to do it. You're smart enough to do it. I got no problem with that. The problem is the people that think they're smart enough to have a conversation with you. Like it's Those people shouldn't be talking to anybody. Those people should be.
Okay. All right.
Those people shouldn't be.
All right,
have
Russ.
an opinion. They shouldn't have an opinion if they don't know.
Russ, you're welcome to call back anytime.
Sorry, I got topic.
We're over time. So final thought tonight. We're going to go to Jay. Like I said, we're over time. We extended to talk to you. Final thought here. I'm not sure you're going to.
Hey, my final thought is, hey, everybody, have a good life. They're good times. Don't read, don't learn. Just having opinions. Whatever. I'm just joking. Well, kind of.
Okay. Please call back. I'm sure we're misunderstanding each other. Please call back another time. I'd love to speak with you later. Russ, thank you for calling.
I know. I shouldn't be drinking. And I shouldn't be drinking them. And I should have called during a different episode.
It's okay. You're welcome back. Look, this is the whole point.
I got kicked off a plane 2 days ago, and people's woke is just driving me nuts. I'm not allowed to drink, and they're allowed to vote me off the island. So.
All right. Well, you're not voted off this island. Please call me back another time, and we'll talk. Okay? You seem like a fine fellow.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Bro?
Well, you got my name and my number now. Okay.
You got it, bro. Have a great night. Okay. Thanks for calling. All right, there we go. Sorry, Jay. Go ahead, my friend. What's on your mind? Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I think he was just, listening to the whole conversation and trying to talk about all of it at the same time. I kind of agree with him about what he was saying about if there were crystals that would do something, we'd never be able to get our hands on. They'd be out there stolen right away.
Yeah, they keep them away. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna commentary on that. But let's just go with your call. And I don't have your number, by the way. It was blocked. So just so you know, Russ, if you're paranoid about that, the number was blocked when it came in. So anyway, go right ahead, Jay. I
don't know. Do you want me to just do the thought?
No. Finish with. It's okay. Finish with what you have regarding what we were discussing tonight.
I think that, there's probably been going on for millions and millions of years, ancient civilizations. And I mean, we have crystals in our watches, we have all that stuff is intertwined with each other, the knowledge that was lost, maybe that's all that's left is the crystal of all that great technology. I don't know. I got a little confused there with the segue. But
yeah, it's okay. My bad on the segue.
No, that's okay. I was interested to hear what somebody else had to say. For sure.
Yeah.
I just want to say something. I think if crystals are stupid, how come they contain so much knowledge? I don't know. I think it's amazing that a crystal can consume and give out so much knowledge and maintain and retain a lot of knowledge. I think it's incredible. Where is it stored? I don't think they're stupid at all. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's all good. That's all good. Like I said, I think this is the thing, right? Everybody's got their own opinions about who's right and who's wrong, but that's not what this show's about. Like literally, if you're into who's right and who's wrong, it's probably not the place for you. Because if you want me to go aggro on people, that's not what this is about. This is literally like one of the last places on earth you can call into and not have somebody go aggro on you for no reason. And just saying. But okay, Jay, let's final thoughts on this, my friend. Again, no hurry. We cut you off there with another phone call, so I appreciate you being patient. So take your time. Just go ahead and flesh it out, man. Whatever you got on your mind.
I don't know. I mean, we're talking about, I was going with that one thing with the crystals that in Germany where they were putting them all in there. The amount of knowledge, and these things are tiny. It's like the new form of a hard drive and stuff like that. I mean, can you only imagine somebody like Atlantis, they say they were that far advanced, of what were they doing with them? The power sources like in the, science fiction movies, it's, I don't know, the whole thing would amaze me that we would never think that we haven't been here forever, and it's just not a cycle that repeats itself. The stupid thing that happened with the social media sites today, it just went down, why? What's the explanation? There's nothing in it. Solar flare, whatever, there's a big solar flare today.
I doubt that because
they're in a huge shielded buildings and own generators and everything else like that.
You know what? I don't know if anybody knows Jimmy Church, but Jimmy Church said this today. Where is it? He said something about his sources inside Facebook. And every time I see that, I just roll my fucking eyes. I'm like, okay, everybody's got an inside source, right? But I'll go ahead, continue. I'll tell you what he says in a sec. I'll find the tweet. Just like,
I was just, I mean, that's just like a simple little thing. And what, it was only for, 6 hours or whatever, longer for some people. But, if you took Facebook and all the, even if you just took the internet away, the social media part of it, not where you could Google your own stuff and things like that. If you took that away, there'd be so many people that would lose their jobs. How many people's whole job is just Googling things and writing a report for somebody else?
Yeah,
from the scientists to the doctors to the everybody. I mean, people would have to go back to the library. Oh my goodness. Well, the libraries don't have any books in them anymore. All that scientific data and stuff like that. They're out in the archives or something like that. You have to ask some guy with white gloves for that book.
Yeah.
Look at them on microfiche or something.
Exactly.
But and then a simple little thing. Dumb as the power grid or something like that. I mean, you're right. We're back in the Stone Age, and then New York City is going to look like a bunch of Indian mounds in Ohio. And we're like, oh yes, these things are a great spiritual thing. They were, what'd your buddy call them?
With some trees.
Religious relics or something like that?
Oh, yeah. What is it? So if you find something archaeologically, I got to trigger it in my brain. It's a ritual artifact. Ritual artifact.
Right. We're going to be finding those fidget spinners.
Yeah.
Because they're all titanium and ball bearings and everything else like that. They'll probably last forever, Exactly. Oh, check out these ritual things here.
Ritual artifacts. When they prayed to the gods, they would fidget spin. Exactly. All right, here's that tweet from Jimmy Church. Now, this is ridiculous. I just spoke to one of my contacts at Facebook who is probably reading this right now. They said, quote, yeah, we're down, can't log into anything, and we don't know why. No secret insider stuff, and I didn't expect any, he says. Everybody's got a damn inside source, don't they? But come on, get the fuck out of here. Come on. You aren't talking to like an executive Zuckerberg or whatever. Get the fuck out. Anyway, it's over. The show is over because we're about to do the J-Tro, which of course.
All right.
Let's do it, Jay. Let's do it, buddy.
I got it. Am I ready?
You're ready. Music is playing.
All right. Something lives only as long as the last person who remembers it. My people have come to trust memory over history. Memory is like fire, is radiant, immutable, while history serves only those who seek to control it. Those who douse the flame of memory in order to put out the dangerous fire of truth. Beware these men, for they are dangerous and unwise. Their false history is written in the blood of those who might remember to seek the truth. And that's Floyd Red Crow Westerman.
Nice. Okay. I love it. There's some truth in there, eh? There's some truth in there. Yeah. Great stuff. Can you link that in the Discord, pretty please?
Yeah, I'll send you the picture of the screenshot.
Thank you.
I'll put it in the general for everybody.
Thank you. All right. Hey, Rock Lobster, by the way, when you want to do your own show and spend years building it up, then you can do your show the way you want to do your show. No offense, but don't tell me how to do mine. You're welcome back anytime. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Andy and with Daryl. We got Jay with the J-Tro, and that's the way it is. This isn't the debate show. This is the show where we get together and talk about our ideas. And it's not just about the truth of things. It's about what the truth may or may not be. And if you don't understand philosophy in that regard, I don't know what to tell you. That's not what this is about. This is not a political talk show. This is not where we get together. I'm just saying, in general, man, like if you crap on the callers, well, you're gonna puff me up a little bit, and I'm gonna get puffed up. And I don't even do that, really. I'm just saying. You're welcome to call back anytime. All right, so this is the deal. We're done. We go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Thank you for all the great calls tonight. Thank you for all the great thoughts. Again, we're not trying to figure out the secrets of the universe. We're just throwing out ideas, having a good conversation. I think if you think that's the case here, you misunderstand us entirely. So as we finish, Jay, you're the best. Daryl, thanks for hanging out with us. Kelly, everybody else, and you know who you are. Thanks for calling. Thanks for being part. And let's do it. Let's get the hell out of here. Anything else, folks?
The woo.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. All right, let's do it. All right, we're out of here. So some of us hang out in the Discord and chat it up afterwards. So if you're into it, join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Come say hi. I'll hop in here and say what's up. And yeah, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for hanging out. You guys are the best. Like I said, I'm grateful that you're listening, because you could be doing a million other things right now, but you're not. You're here hanging with us. And there we go. There we go. Let's GTFO. Ow.
Great show.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific. And Michael Strange and Troubled Minds out.